there was a grin on my face throughout, and it was like Shah Rukh is performing only for me. And मैं बिल्कुल अपनी solitude में बैठी हूँ और I'm experiencing him.
The beginning of the film was really quite international. After वो जब हो जाता है, फिर वो वापस जब मेट्रो में आ जाते हैं, तो मेट्रो के बाद से पिक्चर फिर थोड़ा अपना देसी माहौल में आ जाती है.
शाहरुख खान का नाम तब आता है जब वो कहता है कि मैं कौन हूँ.
हाँ.
And then appears शाहरुख खान. I still have goosebumps when I'm saying this.
मुझे लगता है वो लिखने के बाद जैसे ही लाइन लिखा और उसके नीचे लिख दिया ब्रैकेट में क्यू ऑडियंस टू गो बसर.
आप फिल्म देखो तो आपको लगता है कि बाप जो है वो बाप है, बेटा जो है वो बेटा है. वो क्लियर कट डिमार्केशन एज ए कैरेक्टर दिखता है.
My question only came कि ये तो बेटा है, इसको कैसे पता है? इसको तो कहानी भी नहीं पता
वो एटली को पता थी.
तो आप दूसरी बार पंच डायलॉग सुनने गए थे क्योंकि पहली बार सुना ही नहीं पड़ी. फिल्म मेकिंग में कोई रूल होता भी नहीं है. यू क्रिएट योर रूल्स एज लॉन्ग एज यू कैन कन्विंसिंगली से इट. दिस इज माई पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू.
You're listening to Dime a Dozen Films podcast. Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, and hello to everyone. We are delighted to be back with another exciting episode of Dime a Dozen Films podcast. If you love cinema, this is the place to be. Before I reveal today's topic, I would like to welcome my panelists and a very special guest who I hope will join us in future podcasts as well. Hello, Ashuu ji. How are you today? How was your day? Hello, Sandeep. Welcome.
I've had a great day. I mean, every day is good, and thank you for having me on the discussion again. And I hope you've had a wonderful day as well.
Ashuu ji, your optimism is what keeps everything going. I love your optimism. You always say that you've had a great day. You know, I love you for that. I really do. Yeah. Hello, Sandeep. How are you today? कैसा रहा तुम्हारा दिन?
Hi Nalini ji, I'm great. Everything's going fine. How are you? Hello Ashuu ji, कैसे हैं आप?
बहुत बढ़िया. आप बताओ. मस्त. I like that.
संदीप की आवाज से मुझे ऐसे लग रहा है कि इसको खींच के हम लेके आए पॉडकास्ट पे. बेचारा सोने जा रहा था, है ना?
अरे बिल्कुल नहीं. रात अभी जवान है.
नहीं, मैं मजाक कर रही हूँ. I know you're an owl just like I am. All right, our third partner in crime, Gaurav Sethi, will be joining us soon. He's held up somewhere. Meanwhile, I would like to introduce a very special guest on today's podcast. Her name is Suhani Sharma. She's a cinephile and an independent film blogger. She has recently relocated to India from the US and is an educationist. She runs a school. Suhani is extremely modest, but let me tell you, that I've had numerous interactions with her, mostly about cinema. She comes up with the most beautiful, insightful, and different views about cinema that she watches. Suhani also sings like a nightingale. Suhani, sometime I hope that you're going to sing for us on this podcast. I have shared so many great moments with her on WhatsApp and also when she was in the US, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome her to this podcast. Welcome, Suhani.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. I'm, as usual, you're so kind, Nalini ji. I have no words. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to be part of this. Always great to have a cinema conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Suhani. And Suhani, you can go ahead and say hello to Ashuu ji and Sandeep, both of whom you know.
Hello, Ashuu ji. Hello, Sandeep.
Hello, Suhani. How are you doing?
I'm good, and I have been following Dime a Dozen podcasts since its beginning, and I have enjoyed many episodes thoroughly. And as I say, it was a wonderful, mixed bag of all the people from different walks of life and cinema connecting each of them, and all the people bring so different and varied insights to the podcast, and it's always so great to it's a pleasure to listen to you all.
Wow.
I think you're right. This is an eclectic mix over here. And I think the one thing that keeps us going constantly always is the love for cinema. I am being very grateful, as is Nalini ji, that we have been able to participate in this industry and give our two bits to it, and are still doing it. But it's the love of cinema that has got us into it first. But uh, to have to discuss anything with respect to films is just so wonderful.
Absolutely. Sandeep, would you like to say something to Suhani?
Hi, Suhani. Welcome to this podcast. And I hope you're good. You need to be good because as an educationist, देश का भविष्य आपके हाथ में है.
धन्यवाद. मैं बहुत अच्छी हूँ. I hope आप भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, संदीप.
All right, thank you for that. Now, without further ado, our topic for today is a film which not only has audiences screaming at the top of their lungs in single screen theaters every time their beloved star appears on the screen. This film also seems to have broken all box office records worldwide and is still going strong in the second week. I'm sure you've guessed which film we're talking about. We're talking about Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan. It's directed by Atlee. Atlee makes his debut in the Hindi film industry. And this is going to be the topic of our discussion. So I'm going to start with, we've all seen it at different times. And if I'm not wrong, I think Ashuu ji is the last one to have seen it. Ashuu ji?
Yeah, I think so. I'm the last one to have seen it.
Correct. So is it all right if I come to you first और आपसे पूछते हैं कि आपको जवान कैसी लगी, आपने जवान कहाँ देखी, और आपका पूरा वो जो एक्सपीरियंस था जवान देखने का, वो हमारे साथ जरा शेयर कीजिए प्लीज.
ओके, सो मैंने जवान देखी मल्टीप्लेक्स में. मैंने जवान देखी आइनॉक्स में, जो घर के नजदीक है. और यस, यू आर राइट, मैंने काफी लेट देखी. आई सॉ द फिल्म आई थिंक ऑन थर्सडे वाज इट इवनिंग शो सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, बट थर्सडे इवनिंग को भी थिएटर जो है वो ऑलमोस्ट 50% फुल था. एग्जैक्ट तो नहीं बोल सकता, बट एक अप्रोक्सीमेशन है कि 50% फुल था. और आप जिस तरीके से बात कर रही हैं कि लोगों की सीटियां, तालियां, जो हमने भी सब वायरल वीडियोस देखा है, और हम लोगों ने इस चीज को भी नोटिस किया है किस तरीके से लोगों ने इस फिल्म को एंजॉय किया है, और वीडियोस किस तरीके से निकाले हैं वायरल. और वो ऑल्दो हमने ये चीज पहले किसी एक पॉडकास्ट में डिस्कस किया हुआ है कि आई डोंट स्टैंड इन फेवर ऑफ स्क्रीन के अंदर वीडियोस ले करके सोशल मीडिया में डालना. आई एम नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ दैट. मुझे लगता है इट्स अ ग्रेट डिससर्विस टू द फिल्म इंडस्ट्री. बट देन दैट्स मी. आई एम लाइक दैट. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस जो है वो काफी अलग था. मैंने जो फिल्म देखी मल्टीप्लेक्स के अंदर, फिल्म शुरू हुई, इंटरवल हुआ, कोई आवाज नहीं थी पूरी फिल्म में, हालांकि सारे जितने थे वो ध्यान से देख रहे थे. फिर फिल्म इंटरवल में लोग बाहर आए, उन्होंने जो चीजें खरीदनी थी खाने के लिए, या जो भी चीज उनको करनी थी, वो सारी चीजें उन्होंने खत्म करने के बाद फिर थिएटर के अंदर गए, और फिर से उन्होंने पिक्चर की बाकी का जो सेकेंड हाफ है वो देखा. और आफ्टर हैविंग सीन द सेकेंड हाफ, द एक्सपीरियंस अगेन वाज द सेम. चू तक नहीं थी ऑडियंस से, बिल्कुल चुप करके लोग देख रहे थे. और दो एक बार कुछ लोग इरिटेटिंगली मोबाइल को ऑन करके मोबाइल में कुछ करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, तो उसकी लाइट जो है वो उस कैमरा के स्क्रीन के सामने आती है, तो आपको डिस्टर्ब करता है. आप देखना चाहते हैं, लेकिन इट्स अ लिटिल डिस्टर्बिंग व्हेन यू सी सच हाई इंटेंसिटी लाइट राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. पिक्चर खत्म हुई, लोग बाहर निकले. मैंने किसी को फिल्म के बारे में पिक्चर खत्म होने के बाद डिस्कस करते भी नहीं सुना कि उनको पिक्चर कैसी लगी, ठीक लगी कि नहीं लगी, इसका परफॉर्मेंस बेटर था, ये डायलॉग बेटर था, वो चीज बेटर थी. कोई नहीं, सब बाहर निकले रोबोट की तरह, अपनी अपनी सीटों से बाहर निकल के अपनी अपनी जगह से बाहर थिएटर के बाहर आए, एंड वी वर आउट.
तो आशू जी, आपके कहने का मतलब है कि आपके मल्टीप्लेक्स में सन्नाटा था?
बिल्कुल सन्नाटा था, बिल्कुल सन्नाटा था. इसका मतलब ऑब्वियसली ये नहीं है कि इन लोगों को पिक्चर पसंद नहीं आई होगी, लोगों को पसंद आई भी होगी, लेकिन लोगों के बयां करने का तरीका कुछ अलग होता है. मल्टीप्लेक्स वालों का, ये हम लोगों ने पिछले एपिसोड में डिस्कस भी किया है कि किस तरीके से मल्टीप्लेक्स में लोग कंजूसी से अपनी इमोशंस जाहिर करते हैं.
जी जी.
उस चीज को मैंने रूप मतलब एकदम सामने से देखा है कि, और ये तो बहुत बार देखा है कि लोग जो है वो ज्यादातर चुपचाप ही देखते हैं, कुछ ज्यादा बोलते नहीं है और फिल्म देख करके निकल जाते हैं। बट अगर आप मुझे पूछे तो मुझे पिक्चर बहुत पसंद आई।
जी।
हालांकि एब्सोल्युटली कमर्शियल सिनेमा जिसको कहते हैं, ये वो है। दिस इज एन एब्सोल्युटली कमर्शियल फिल्म. There are various reasons for which I am saying it's a commercial film, but we will come to that later. On the face of it, मुझे फिल्म बहुत पसंद आई और फिल्म देखते देखते भी मुझे लगा बहुत जगह अंदर से जज्बात थे कि यहाँ पे लोगों ने तालियां बजाई होंगी, यहाँ पे लोग जो है चिल्लाए होंगे अलग अलग चीजों से, वो मुझे, क्योंकि मुझे भी एहसास हो रहा था। बट यहाँ पे बिल्कुल सन्नाटा था। सो आई थिंक द इमोशन, योर इमोशन resonates with the people that you watch. If you're sitting amongst people who wear their heart on their sleeve, you will realize that you're emoting far more. If you sit down with far more reserved people, you will be quiet and you'll watch the film quietly. So more on that later, but on the face of it, मुझे फिल्म बड़ी अच्छी लगी।
All right, wonderful. संदीप जी, आपने कब देखी फिल्म? मुझे जहां तक याद है आपने तो 2 बार देख ली है ना?
हाँ, वैसे मैंने फर्स्ट डे फर्स्ट शो ही देखी, सुबह 6 बजे का शो, द वे आई लाइक टू वॉच
अरे वाह।
दिस फिल्म्स।
हाँ।
दूसरी बार तो खैर मैं कंपनी देने के लिए चला गया क्योंकि घर पे भी रहना होता है। बट हाँ, तो पहले बार मैं फर्स्ट डे फर्स्ट शो देखा था मैंने, और खचाखच भरे हुए थिएटर में देखा था मैंने। एंड लाइक आशु जी वेरी राइटली मेंशन, राइट, in films like these that have certain beats of commercial mainstream masala, jo bhi kehna hai, the community viewing enhances your reaction to an extent. The film also needs to be good for that, but wo mujhe bahut acha laga. The ambience was there, it was all fun. Coming to my reaction for the film, I don't think I have a straightforward hate or love for Jawan as a movie, जो कि सोशल मीडिया में बहुत आजकल फैशन हो गया है कि बाइनरीज में ही बात होती है। इट्स इधर लव्ड इट और हेटेड इट, बेस्ट फिल्म और वर्स्ट फिल्म। तो इन दोनों में से आई डोंट bend towards any one spectrum. There are things which I liked about the film. तो पहले उन चीजों की बात करते हैं, the things that worked. दो जो ओपनिंग सीक्वेंस है उसका, if you and it's very recent, so I'm sure all of you remember. I did not expect that in an Atlee film. Now I have watched all the films that Atlee has made in the past, and apart from Raja Rani, I have not been very or I have not been a fan of any of his later films, which were, by the way, huge blockbusters. But they didn't work for me because I see a lot of derivative work in that. So anyways, but that opening sequence and the action sequence that he had designed around Shah Rukh was, I was surprised by it because I did not expect. I could have seen it coming from a Lokesh Kanagraj probably, or Karthik Subraj or somebody like that, but that was typically, if you remember the color palette,
yes,
it's also shot in the night. It had a very graphic novel kind of a feel to that whole action sequence.
very gothic, na?
Very gothic, yes, absolutely, very gothic, and that made me take notice. And I was like, although the trailer doesn't show much, maybe there is something different. Right? So that's where I started. The film started for me on a high, and after that, it was all normal beats. If you watched the Telugu and Tamil cinema, the film followed a very well-defined beat. So there's nothing out of the world in that, but that's fine. I think the film is in a particular genre where things are predictive. The only thing is you would know, you can guess, like it's that kind of a film where you guess and you're able to guess what comes next, but the way it comes is what makes all the difference. So jokes, couple of action sequences, some of the writing which is very good in terms of, जैसे एक पर्टिकुलर मास मूवी का या मसाला मूवी का एक टेम्पलेट होता है जो बहुत ज्यादा तमिल और तेलुगु फिल्म्स में दिखा है पिछले 15-20 सालों में. There is a little bit of metaness always. The actor who's playing that particular character, they'll always give him certain lines that would be related to something that is happening with him in his real life. Or let's say if the actor has political aspirations, then those aspirations will reflect. It will be about his politics. It will also be, there will also be a lot of homages and hat tips to the work of the actor in the past, because these movies are typically headlined by huge superstars, right? Vijay, Ajit, Chiranjeevi, Rajnikant, Shah Rukh in this case. So, वो सब था, but if I look at it entirely, ठीक है film. Like, I would not, it's a decent watch. So, a couple of things worked for me, which we will discuss going ahead. But yeah, that's about it.
और संदीप, आप तो ये भी नहीं कह सकते ना कि ये वन टाइम वॉच है, आप तो 2 बार देख चुके हैं.
I held myself off from saying that.
Because somebody on our group, remember, was saying that it's a one time watch, but you can't even say that. So yeah, wonderful.
But in jest, I would like to say that you went and watched a film at 6 o'clock in the morning. सुबह का 6 बजे अगर मेरी शूट होती है तो मैं उठता हूँ, या मैंने रात भर काम किया होता है और मेरा पैकअप 6-7 बजे होता है, तो मैं घर पे आकर के सुबह का 6 का सूरज देखता हूँ. वरना सुबह के 6 का सूरज तो मुझे नहीं दिखता, मैं आराम से उठने वालों में से हूँ. तो यू टेक आउट दैट एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट एंड गो वॉच अ फिल्म एट 6 in the morning. I can't remember a film that I've seen at 6 in the morning. Cannot.
Ashuri, I have never seen, but Sandeep watches all the Tamil and the Telugu films first day, first show, subah 6 baje. Nahi, Sandeep?
Yes, or Ashuji, I am a typical night owl. Both my work and my watching, everything, I plan it such that I don't have to see the subah ka suraj 5-6 बजे का. वो मैं कभी भी नहीं देखता. वो सिर्फ उन्हीं दिनों देखता हूँ जब मुझे फिल्म देखनी होती है सुबह.
वो भी थिएटर के अंदर चले जाओ तो वो भी नहीं दिखता है. वो थिएटर के अंदर से 6 कब बज गए, 10 कब बज गए सुबह के उस.
अच्छा संदीप, एक बात बताओ, कौन से सिनेमा हॉल में आपने देखी थी बैंगलोर में?
मैंने यहाँ पीवीआर में देखी.
अच्छा, आपने 6 बजे का शो भी मल्टीप्लेक्स में देखा?
हाँ.
अच्छा, दोनों बार
PVR had a show in the morning, yes. Otherwise I would have gone for the single screen. Yeah.
Oh, PVR had a 6 a.m. show. Ashuu ji, आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
नहीं. That's what I was just going to wonder, that he's seen both the times he saw it in a multiplex.
हाँ.
और आपकी ऑडियंस कैसी थी भाई? आपकी ऑडियंस भी चुपचाप देख रही थी कि कुछ शोरगुल था अंदर?
शोरगुल था, काफी था एक्चुअली. फर्स्ट डे फर्स्ट शो का जो ऑडियंस था वो तो इट वाज कंप्लीटली, आई मीन इट वाज लाउड इन द जो पंच डायलॉग्स होते हैं वो सुनाई नहीं दे रहे थे एक बार. So that was there. The second time around it was a evening show or something. So I think तब तक वही जो आशु जी हम जिस ऑडियंस की बात कर रहे थे पहले ना, कंजूसी में वाहवाही देती है. It was mostly that.
तो आप दूसरी बार पंच डायलॉग सुनने गए थे क्योंकि पहली बार सुनाई नहीं पड़ी.
Lovely, Sandeep. Thank you for sharing that. अच्छा, सुहानी जी आपके पास आते हैं. What were your first impressions of Jawan? And let me tell, or let her, I don't know, why don't you tell people how crazy you are about Shah Rukh Khan?
So I was keeping very low profile after the success of Pathan in terms of Jawan and its preview and song release. And let me tell you, मैंने जवान का कोई भी गाना नहीं देखा था. I just kept myself away that I'll strictly keep it for a big screen experience. तो मैं कोई गाना नहीं फॉलो कर रही थी और ना मैं बहुत ज्यादा ट्रेलर मैंने फॉलो किया था. And I just had my fingers crossed. I wanted to, savor that experience on big screen. And I too watched it twice. पहली बार मैं स्कूल बंक करके गई थी. I gave my teachers all work and I told them I have some very important work to do and all. I'll be out for some time. And
आपको पता है ना, आपको पता नहीं ये पॉडकास्ट जो है वो पब्लिकली रिलीज होने वाला है और अगर उनको पता नहीं है तो अब उनको सब पता चलने वाला है.
Yeah, I know. मैं ये सब सोच कर बोल रही हूँ. And इस चक्कर में हुआ क्या, I missed the introduction scene and I came, we have a group, I and Sandeep have a common group, a group of cinephiles, so I shared and Sandeep kind of, hit me कि ये बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी है आपने इंट्रोडक्शन मिस करके.
हाँ.
And for that, I went again. So my first experience was very similar to Ashuji. I went to multiplex, and it was a Friday 9 a.m. show, the second day show, and there were hardly 5 people, including me.
अच्छा.
And yeah, there was no crowd at all, nothing, hardly 5 people, and I think 6 people. I was the one, and there was one guy, and two of them were a couple. There were two couples. So the first, I in fact, even enjoyed the watching experience in silence. Like there was no hooting, no shor sharaba. So there was a grin on my face throughout, and it was like Shah Rukh is performing only for me. And मैं बिल्कुल अपनी solitude में बैठी हूँ और I'm experiencing him. और जो मेरा दूसरा व्यूइंग एक्सपीरियंस था वो मैं बहुत बहुत सालों बाद अपने शहर के लोकल थिएटर में गई और मैं अपनी बेटी को भी लेकर गई एंड आई डिड एवरीथिंग व्हिच वी यूज्ड टू डू व्हेन वी वर किड्स. मैंने वो पैक एंड सील वाले पॉपकॉर्न खाए, मैंने इंटरवल में समोसे भी लिए एंड एवरीथिंग, एंड इट वाज अ टिपिकल स्मॉल टाउन single screen experience. There was hooting and like screaming and yelling and celebration, and the reactions were extreme. Like I remember there is a scene in the film where the the evil guy goes to dead farmer's wife and the daughter, और वो उसके साथ बुरा बर्ताव करता है, और जब वो बेटी मारती है उसको, अटैक करती है, there were boys who were celebrating and they were abusing in Hindi कि मार साले को, and ये वो, everything, the emotions were extreme. So the second viewing was a celebration in itself. The whole theater danced. My daughter danced in Zinda Banda. She saw people dancing and she wanted to dance. I let her dance. So I had a great time both the times. And in terms of filmmaking, I'll say that although I'm a huge, huge Shah Rukh Khan fan, and I'm the one who will say that it feels like a personal victory, both the success of Pathan and Jawan. And but in terms of filmmaking, even when I was watching and I was celebrating the presence of my screen god on screen, I was also able to pinpoint and notice all the flaws of the film, which we'll discuss, I'm sure, in detail ahead. And as just as Sandeep ne kaha, it's a ठीक-ठाक film, but in the second viewing, I noticed what I couldn't notice on my first watch, and I realized that it on the surface it may look like a very massy commercial film, लेकिन आज के दौर में हिंदी सिनेमा के सबसे बड़े सुपरस्टार का कुछ मुद्दों को उठाना इस फिल्म में, ये अपने आप में एक मिरेकल है मुझे लगता है, और इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फिल्म अगर आप थोड़ा सरफेस के नीचे जाके देखें. सो in my second viewing, I'll give more marks to the writers and the dialogue writers and the writers of the film. Not much to the director, but the performers and the writers of the film.
तो सुहानी, जब आपकी सेकंड व्यूइंग हुई थी वो सिंगल स्क्रीन में हुई थी और शोर शराबा भी हो रहा था, तो बिकॉज यू हैड सीन इट इन अ क्वाइट एटमॉस्फेयर बिफोर, सेकंड व्यूइंग में आप कह रहे हो you noticed more things, but you could hear all the dialogue, Suhani, in the second viewing also?
Yeah, I could
okay.
hear.
Okay.
I could hear, and I actually मैं अपनी नेफ्यू को लेकर और अपनी सिस्टर को लेकर और मैंने सबके नाक में दम कर दिया था कि नहीं, मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन सीन मिस हुआ है, अब वो नहीं मिस होना चाहिए. And I absolutely agree with Sandeep. It was like, a graphic novel coming to life on screen, and it was every twist and turn and that unfolding of bandage and the face reveal. It was spectacular, amazing.
It was. And
Yeah.
Suhani, आपने अभी बोला ना masculine and all of that. तो इस फिल्म में, I think this is the first film संदीप आशु जी जो मैंने देखी है जिसमें फिल्म के अंदर ही बोल रहे हैं ना Massy Massy
Right.
Massy. It's like
मतलब वो पूरी तैयारी के साथ आए हैं, पूरी.
सही है.
पर मेरे को बहुत ज्यादा मैंने ये सुनने को हमेशा देखा है, आई मीन सुना है ये कि जनरली मेल्स जो होते हैं ना, वो जाकर के अकेले अकेले पिक्चर देख लेते हैं। तो संदीप ने जाकर के पिक्चर अकेली देखी, बट लेडीज जाकर के अकेले पिक्चर देखती हैं, और आपने जाकर के पहली बार अकेले देखा, फिर बाकी सारों को लेके गए। मतलब यू आर टेस्टिंग द फिल्म फर्स्ट एंड देन यू सेड अब मैं नाउ आई विल सेव द फिल्म।
अशु जी, मैं पठान भी मैंने अकेले देखी थी, और पठान तो मैं यूएस में थी, तो मैंने फर्स्ट डे फर्स्ट शो देखा था। एंड यू नो,
हाँ।
आई होप एज अ सिनेफिल यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड माई इमोशन। मैं नहीं चाहती थी कि मेरे और शाहरुख के बीच में कोई भी आए, मैं अकेले देखना चाहती थी। तो I did the same with Pathan and I did the same with Jawan. I told my parents, I didn't even tell them. I bunked school. I lied to them. I said कि नहीं, मुझे किसी को नहीं बताना है, अकेले जाकर देखना है। And then जब मैं पूरी तरीके से उस रस को मतलब पी लूंगी, तो फिर मैं दूसरों को लेके जाऊंगी।
तो
वाह।
मुझे एक बात बताओ आप, कि जिस दिन आप शाहरुख को मिल लोगी तो क्या होगा?
I don't know क्या होगा आशु जी। I don't know।
आई थिंक बेहोश हो जाएंगी, ये बेहोश हो
Of
जाएंगी, कुछ
course,
बोल नहीं पाएंगे मुझे
of
लग रहा
course।
है।
हाँ हाँ।
हम्म।
पर शाहरुख मीन्स
मैं
एवरीबॉडी वेरी वेल। एनीवे, आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं आशु जी, बोलिए।
मैं ये बोलने वाला था कि नलिनी जी आपकी बारी है, आप बताएं आपको फिल्म का क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा। आपने तो सिंगल स्क्रीन में देखी है, मुझे पता है।
हाँ जी। तो हम पिछले पॉडकास्ट में बात कर रहे थे और मुझे आई वाज इंस्पायर्ड। आई सेड लिसन, Jawan, I have to go in a single screen. So God knows after how many decades I went to see the film in Gaiety Galaxy, in the Galaxy part of Gaiety Galaxy in Bandra. तो जब मैं बैंड्रा में रहती थी इतने साल पहले, तो
हम्म।
इतनी सारी फिल्में वहां देखती थी। मैंने वो नसीरुद्दीन शाह की जलवा वहां देखी, और
हम्म।
अप्पू राजा वहां देखी थी, और बहुत सारी। तो since Gaiety Galaxy is closer to my house, and otherwise I would have wanted to go and see it in Chitra, which is in Dadar, which is really far. तो अच्छा ऐसा हुआ कि मैंने अपने बेटे से पूछा कि देखो जवान हम देखेंगे तो क्या विल यू कम विथ मी टू द सिंगल स्क्रीन्स, एंड सो ही सेज ओके लेट्स डू इट एंड स्टफ। सो वी बुक्ड आवर टिकट्स, और ये सुने मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस था बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग। तो एनीवे रिक्शा पकड़ के हम गए, और मुझे याद भी नहीं था एग्जैक्टली कहाँ था, कौन सी लेन में था। सो वी वेंट एंड देयर वर लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल आउटसाइड, and so then my son went to the gatekeeper who was sitting outside the door and showed him the ticket, and gatekeeper told him very nicely कि अभी खुला नहीं है hall. So we waited, and we waited in one corner, and the भीड़ बढ़ती गई, बढ़ती गई, बढ़ती गई, बढ़ती गई, and then suddenly I just looked to my left and there was a kind of a stirring, और आशु जी एंड संदीप और सुहानी जैसे एक बहुत ऑर्डरली फैशन में एक लाइन बन गई, अ लॉन्ग लाइन। इट वाज सो ऑर्डरली, इट वाज सो क्वाइट। सब लोग खड़े हो गए क्योंकि वहां दरवाजा खुला था जो हमने नहीं देखा। तो इट वाज लाइक अ सर्पेंट दैट लाइन। So
Oh wow।
yeah, and then my son told me, Mama, let them all go, and then we'll go. What's the point? And we were obviously, आशु जी, किसी ने किसी को धक्का नहीं दिया, आराम से लाइक वन सर्पेंट, एक सांप के जैसे वो लाइन शुरू हुई और वो गए लोग। एंड देन आई टोल्ड गौरव, लिसन, इट्स मूविंग प्रीटी फास्ट, लेट्स गो स्टार्ट, लेट्स गो स्टैंड right at the end. So we went and stood right in the end, and then the line moved very, very smoothly. Now that gatekeeper, Ashuji, was checking everyone's tickets. Some of them had physical tickets, some of them had it on their mobiles. Now I don't know whether this gatekeeper had already seen us and we'd already interacted with him, that when we went he didn't even bother, he didn't even ask us. हमारे टिकट चेक ही नहीं हुए, बाकी सबके टिकट चेक हो रहे थे। हमें अंदर जाने दिया। फिर वहां पे भी एक लेडी थी, बहुत स्वीटली मेरा बैग चेक किया, एंड बोला कि, हमने पूछा कि बालकनी कहाँ है, तो बोलती है तीसरे माले पे। तो हम लोग लेफ्ट राइट देख रहे हैं, मुझे लिफ्ट ही नहीं दिखी आशु जी, मैं 3 माले चढ़ के गई।
वाह,
या
मतलब पिक्चर देखने के पहले कार्डियो भी कर लिया।
third floor to the balcony, and I must tell you it was all very orderly, very nice. अंदर गए, बिल्कुल सामने, आई टेकन द फर्स्ट सीट ऑफ द बालकनी, जहाँ पे लेग रूम होता है ना, जिसके बारे में पिछले पॉडकास्ट में गौरव सेठी बात कर रहा था।
हाँ हाँ
तो
हाँ।
वो वाले हमारे सीट्स थे, हमारे सीट पे कोई बैठे थे लड़के, और हमने उनको बहुत sweetly they moved ahead and we sat down. तो हमने film देखी. The minute the film began, I tell you, the crowd, just the balcony was full. They went ballistic. Yeah, they went ballistic. And this whole thing of when you see Jawan for the first time and the bandages or whatever, and he's falling, you can't even see the superstar's face. And they're shouting, "We love you, Shah Rukh! I love you, Shah Rukh!" और मेरे जो eardrums थे, वो burst हो गए. I think there was that much of screaming. So that was the atmosphere, and so it was very, very electric. मुझे एक बात कहनी है यहाँ पे कि सुहानी बोल रही थी कि उन्होंने गाने नहीं सुने. मैंने भी कुछ भी नहीं देखा ना सुना इस फिल्म के बारे में. टीजर देखा था. But I must say that the music, when you're listening to it in the film, is very nice.
True.
है ना?
Yes.
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा इसका म्यूजिक जब मैं फिल्म देख रही थी. बाहर आके शायद तुम्हें इतना याद नहीं रहे, और वो जो सिग्नेचर ट्यून है शाहरुख की एंट्री की, for 2 days that signature tune was going on in my brain, you know.
Yes.
And तो हमने भी वहां पे सुहानी वो पॉपकॉर्न भी खाया, सब कुछ खाया. I ate the samosa. We'll talk about all of that. But as a movie, I have to say, for me, it was a Tamil film with a Hindi superstar, you know. And this film is running on Shah Rukh's stardom, literally.
True.
I loved him as the older Vikram Rathore. I just,
Oh my God.
yeah, his look and his work and everything. And we came back home in an auto rickshaw. The auto guy had watched the film with us, as in we didn't know him, but so throughout we were talking to him on the way, और वो इतनी interesting बातें कर रहा था. तो एक बहुत ही अजीब अलग सा experience था. I don't know if I'm going to go back to Katy Galaxy for reasons I'll tell you later. But all in all, an entertaining film with very poor sound quality. So I missed, I think, 6 out of 10 of the dialogues we couldn't hear. The screen was extremely dark and very far. And so these are the minuses of having seen it in this cinema hall.
I'll agree, नलिनी जी. मुझे लगता है ये बेहतर हुआ कि मैंने पहली बार मल्टीप्लेक्स में देखा, क्योंकि जब मैं सिंगल स्क्रीन में देखने गई, the screen was very dark and actually it was too far from balcony. Probably we have just lost that habit of watching big screen from this long distance, and I was like, and मजे की बात ये है कि शो का तो एक टाइम होता है मल्टीप्लेक्स में, 12 से 3, 3 से 6, 6 से 9, एंड देन 9 से 12. और हमारे शो में तो वो लास्ट का पूरा पोर्शन कट ही कर दिया, गाना कट
हैं?
कर दिया, वो पोस्ट क्रेडिट सीन कट कर दिया,
क्या
जिसमें
बात कर रहे हो? कौन से शो में?
कैमियो वापस, क्योंकि फिल्म करीबन 5:50 के करीब वो खत्म हुई फिल्म, और 6 बजे से उनका नेक्स्ट शो होने वाला था, तो बिल्कुल कट कर दिया. जहां पे वो आता है फिल्म बाय एटली, बस वहां पे कट, ना कोई गाना आया, ना वो पोस्ट क्रेडिट सीन आया. तो फिर then I realized, no, it was better that I watched it first on multiplex.
Acha, wow. So for me, it was a Tamil film, basically, Sandeep, with Shah Rukh. But I think it was entertaining because of Shah Rukh, because Shah Rukh, the older Shah Rukh, I didn't much care for the younger version. But I have a question from all of you before you go out and say more things about the film, because this has been on my mind, and I was thinking maybe because I saw it in an atmosphere where the screen was too dark, where the dialogues were getting missed with so much noise, and quality of viewing was not all that great. So maybe I missed something. But I have a question. And I just want to tell my listeners that there are going to be spoilers, as always, in our podcast. So if you haven't seen Jawan, you can stop right here, watch the film, and then listen to our podcast. So when we first see the Jawan on the railway platform getting into that train, he's bandaged, right?
True.
Later in the film, right, we discover that this is the son, right?
True.
Yes.
Now my question is, the older Vikram Rathore, when in the opening gothic novel scene where they bandaged him up because they were, treating him or whatever, This boy had never seen the father. Yes, the mother must have told him stories, but the mother did not know what had happened to him. So my question is, how did the son know that this is my father's avatar with bandages?
This question came to me too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to know, right? It's just one of the different get-ups that he took at different points of the film.
नहीं
It's
नहीं, वो
just a contrived
बैंडेज का
thing.
लुक तो अपने फादर का ही था ना, विक्रम राठौर का था.
They've used it twice. They've used the same look for the father within the film, but I think they were just trying to, play with the audience expectations and throw them off. That's it. He didn't know this. I don't think he did it as a homage to his father's look or something like that. There's no way he knows that. It was just a easy hack to mislead the audience.
So I just want to add something here. What happens, a couple of things which I'd like to put out here. This is more for an emotional connect. You've just finished seeing a massive sequence of Shah Rukh Khan. And by the way, Vikram Rathore is the older character. Younger
Yes.
character is not Vikram Rathore. The younger character is called Azad.
Yeah.
He-
So
that-
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so he uses the name of Vikram Rathore just as homage, just to try and because he promised his mother that I'm going to prove that he was innocent and whatever. So he uses that persona per se. Now here is an emotional connect where the filmmakers must have decided that शाहरुख को अभी इस तरीके से लोगों ने देखा है और हमको you have to understand one thing. Everybody who walks out of that train walks out with a mask. Everyone.
With the bandage.
One of the
With the band.
with the bandage. So one of the things that they could have done is हम लोग मास्क दे देते सबको और मास्क के साथ बाहर निकालते. लेकिन अब आप जब विजुअली फिल्म को देख रहे हैं ना, फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन यू वाचिंग द फिल्म, एक पूरा सीक्वेंस होता है और कुछ सालों के बाद में यू आर सीइंग शाहरुख खान अगेन. यू आर सीइंग हिम स्लाइटली ओल्डर. यू आर सीइंग हिम बैंडेज. सो यू बिलीव it's a continuation of what you have seen.
No, it says 30 years later in the super.
I know. So please listen what I'm trying to say. कि विजुअली आप सुपर में देख रहे हो 30 years के बाद, बट विजुअली आपने शाहरुख को देखा है उधर बैंडेज के साथ, उसी को कंटिन्यू किया यहाँ पे बैंडेज के साथ, स्लाइटली ओल्डर देखा है, तो आपको ऐसा एक एहसास होता है कि शायद वही बंदा होगा जो अब उम्र हो गई है और बाद में वो रेवलेशन करते हैं अपनी तरफ से, which is like a drama or a dramatic point. That is the creative license that the filmmakers have taken to use a bandage of that point. Nothing more than that. It's not really, trying to say that मुझे मालूम था कि मेरा फादर ऐसा दिखता था, वो बैंडेज में था और मैं अब इस तरीके से आऊंगा. No, it is just a emotional ride, more than anything else.
Massy, Massy, Massy.
Yeah, exactly.
Massy.
And it works as a red herring, now from a visual perspective. You see
It does.
guy in bandage, then you see another person. Obviously 30 साल तक वही bandage लगा के क्यों घूमेगा?
नहीं, Sandeep,
But
it was a fantastic image. I have nothing against that. It was fabulous. My question only came कि ये तो बेटा है, इसको कैसे पता है? इसको तो कहानी भी नहीं पता था.
वो एटली को पता थी.
हाँ, वही ना.
उसने लिख
So
दिया.
वही.
So it is just an emotional ride to take you further from where he's just left you, to take you further with that. And there's nothing wrong in that. There's no logic to it. It's just an emotional thing.
I just say मासी से मुझे याद आया कि it's a very modern मनमोहन देसाई filmmaking, कि वो कहीं ना कहीं बाप और बेटी में कनेक्ट है जो कि जिससे दोनों बेखबर हैं, लेकिन somewhere their hearts are connected and maybe he's deriving it through maybe some sixth sense or maybe some emotional wire or something like that. But it's very, very जो एक messy, yeah, in a term messy, in a way messy, but जो एक मासी सिनेमा का जो conviction होता है, ये बिल्कुल वही बात है. So there's no logic.
Yeah. Okay. तो आशु जी, आप बताएं, आपके फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन तो हमने सुन लिए, और बताएं फिल्म के बारे में, क्या आपको पसंद आया और क्या आपको नहीं पसंद आया और क्यों नहीं पसंद आया, अगर नहीं पसंद आया तो.
जैसे मैंने कहा कि मुझे ओवरऑल पिक्चर अच्छी लगी है. मुझे लगा कि ये कमर्शियल मसाला फिल्म है, ऑडियंसेस एंजॉय करेंगे. मुझे पता नहीं, एज अ फिल्म व्यूअर एक फिल्म देखने के बाद में एक अंदर से घंटी बजती है कि ये फिल्म जो है ये चलने लायक है, ये फिल्म ऑडियंसेस को अच्छी लगेगी. दिस इज नॉट टू से दैट इट इज डिवॉइड ऑफ एनी मिस्टेक्स. अब मैं बताता हूँ, मेरा क्या है, मैं फिल्म को बहुत रूप से देखता हूँ, बहुत तरीके से देखता हूँ. मैं सिर्फ एक व्यूअर की तरह नहीं देखता, मैं एक टेक्नीशियन की तरह भी देखता हूँ. और मुझे फिल्म के अंदर मतलब ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे शाहरुख को 50 बार इंट्रोड्यूस किया फिल्म के अंदर. हर
हाँ.
बार वो आता है, हर बार इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है, हर बार आता है, हर बार इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है. This is the very south way of making films, where they were so even it starts right from the beginning. You know, when I was noticing कि picture जब शुरू होती है और टाइटल जब शुरू होते हैं तो टाइटल स्टार्ट विद ऑल द विमेन एंड देयर, मतलब एज इन दीपिका पादुकोण एंड नयनतारा एंड व्हाटएवर. और मैंने नोटिस किया बोला शाहरुख का नाम ही नहीं पिक्चर में, देयर इज नो नेम. और फिर चलते 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 बाद में आकर के
हाँ.
शाहरुख खान इतना बड़ा नाम है कि आप उसको, मतलब सडनली आपको लगता है कि अच्छा मैं शायद कोई साउथ की फिल्म देख रहा हूं, बिकॉज वहां पे वो ये करते हैं कि मेगा स्टार, ब्लॉकबस्टर स्टार, दिस नाम. सो देर इज अ प्रीफिक्स टू द नेम बिफोर दे गिव द नेम, एंड दैट इज, इसमें इसमें सिर्फ प्रीफिक्स नहीं है बट नाम बहुत बड़ा इस तरीके से दिया. एंड पीपल इंजॉयड इट, पीपल लाइक टू सी हिज नेम ऑन द स्क्रीन, एंड दे मस्ट हैव. अब क्योंकि मैंने सिंगल स्क्रीन में देखी नहीं, तो मैं अंदाजा लगा सकता हूं कि ये एक हाई पॉइंट था कि शाहरुख का नाम भी स्क्रीन पे आना अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा हाई पॉइंट है. अब आप,
Ashuu ji, it was deafening, the screams, I'm telling
there
you.
you go, there you go.
Yeah.
अब आपको दूसरी दो तीन चीजें और बताता हूं. मैं फिल्म को, जैसे कहा कि मैं फिल्म को टेक्निकली भी देखता हूं. आप लोगों को नहीं दिखा होगा या नजर नहीं आया होगा, और वो बहुत अच्छी बात है अगर नजर नहीं आया तो. बट मैं जब फिल्म को देख रहा था, मुझे लगा कितना विजुअल इंफॉर्मेशन दिए जा रहा है डायरेक्टर कॉन्स्टेंटली. इट इज सो टैक्सिंग दैट इट कॉन्स्टेंटली यू हैव, यू विल. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, एक इंसान, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड शॉर्ट डिवीजन. आप एक सीन को लेकर के फिर टेक्निकली डिवाइड करते हो सीन को कि इतना पोर्शन जो है ये लॉन्ग में बोलेगा, फिर ये इतना क्लोज में आके बोलेगा, फिर एक वाइड शॉट आएगा, फिर वो कैरेक्टर बोलेगा. इस तरीके से कोरियोग्राफी होती है. इस फिल्म में मुझे लगता है हर आधे लाइन के बाद में एक कट है. देर इज अ एडिटिंग कट आफ्टर प्रॉबली एवरी हाफ अ लाइन, नॉट इवन अ फुल लाइन, विच मीन्स एक लाइन को बोलने के लिए तीन जगह से एक्सट्रीम टाइट, ओवर द टॉप, मतलब तीन जगह से काटा है, ठपाक 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 ठपाक. एंड यू नो, एज एन ऑडियंस, देयर इज the only place I saw this kind of visual information coming was in KGF, because KGF also was giving you immense amount of information even in a 30 second. मुझे लगता है 30 सेकंड में शायद 30 शॉट्स होंगे जो एडवर्टाइजिंग के फिनोमिनन होती कटिंग करेगी. एनीवे, मैं टेक्निकली जा रहा हूं, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट्स व्हाट एटली डिड एवरी टाइम ही इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. तो देयर इज, मतलब सुपर स्लो मोशन के लिए देयर इज अ कैमरा दैट कम्स, व्हिच इज एक्सपेंसिव. दैट कैमरा मुझे लगता है कि इन्होंने खरीद के सेट पे ही रख लिया था कि मुझे रोज फैंटम इस्तेमाल करना है. हर बार कोई इंट्रोडक्शन होगी, हर बार कोई मूवमेंट होगा, हर बार कोई एक्शन होगा, तो देयर बी अ फैंटम. सो you realize that there's a super slow thing happening, and then suddenly zup, it happens quickly, that same action goes off, and then again the super slow goes on, which is called ramping. So they would ramp and then go into slow motion. Nothing wrong, it's his style. और मुझे लगा कि एटली दिस इंटायर, सो व्हेन आई वाज वाचिंग द फिल्म, लाइक यू सेड, मुझे लगा जैसे मैं तमिल फिल्म देख रहा हूं, बिकॉज तमिल फिल्म का कंटेंट या तेलुगु फिल्म का कंटेंट और टेकिंग इस तरीके से होता है. मासी फिल्म का कंटेंट और टेकिंग, जो हमने पिछली बार डिस्कस किया था कि व्हेन यू सी अ सिंगल स्क्रीन देन यू रियलाइज देयर इज अ सुपर हीरो दैट्स कमिंग, उसको किस तरीके से इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं वो इस तरीके से होता है. Logically, see how everybody said, and I also loved the way Shahrukh was revealed in the very first sequence, कि आग लगती है और आग किस तरीके से बैंडेज को जलाती है और उसका फेस रिवील होता है. कितना ब्रिलियंट है विजुअली, लॉजिकली स्टूपिड है कि यार ये आदमी, आप आग से पूरे बैंडेज को जला रहे हो लेकिन स्किन को कुछ नहीं हो रहा, कहीं नहीं हो रहा. बट भाड़ में गया लॉजिक, बिकॉज यहां पे आप ये देखते हो कि यार मेरे को टच क्या करता है इमोशनली, अगर ये चीज लोगों को अच्छा लगता है. सो दीज आर द हाई पॉइंट्स, व्हिच मींस मेरे को बहुत कैटेगोरिकली याद है कि यू सी वन कैरेक्टर, जो इसने भी बोला, संदीप ने भी बोला कि बहुत ग्राफिक है, कि टॉप टॉप से कैरेक्टर जंप करता हुआ आता है विद हिज बैंडेजेस फ्लाइंग एंड व्हाटएवर. It looks like a superhero that's come and landed on the ground. These kinds of takings, you need to have a superstar to try and show this. If you take any other star and you take these kind of takings, क्या वो लोग होल्ड कर पाएंगे कि नहीं, और ऑडियंस इस तरीके से रिएक्ट करेगी कि नहीं, उनको वी डोंट नो. बट ये इस किस्म की स्पेशल टेकिंग्स और स्पेशल एडिट्स और स्पेशल मल्टीपल कैमरास वगैरह जो चलता है, दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स resonates with the audiences, especially in single screens. And that is what they latch on to, and you make these guys into superstars. So technically, ये टेक्निकल टीम जो है वो सुपरस्टार्स बनाती है. एज फार एज द फिल्म, कहानियां वानियां देख लो, मुझे मतलब थोड़ा काफी सारा ओवर द टॉप भी लगा. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल वो जो बैंक का सीक्वेंस जो सुहानी ने कहा कि बैंक वाला आकर के ट्रैक्टर लेके चले जाना और उसके कपड़े खींच लेना और फिर बाद में आकर के बोलना वो तो मैंने सिर्फ सूट लिया है, या अभी असल का क्या है. मैं आई डोंट नो वेदर बैंक पीपल इवन स्पीक लाइक दिस और रिएक्ट लाइक दिस. बहुत ओवर द टॉप लगा मेरे को, बट ठीक है,
It
दैट्स
was
हिज.
very 70s,
हाँ
I should say.
हाँ, और ऐसी बहुत सारी चीजें. प्लस आपने मतलब सुहानी, यू सेड दैट यू नो एक सुपरस्टार को इतनी बड़ी बड़ी चीजें जो है बोलना, यू नीड टू हैव गट्स एंड गम्पशन. वो तो है ही, बट कमर्शियल सिनेमा फॉर्मेट में आप ज्ञान नहीं देते, आप एंटरटेन करते हैं. ज्ञान अगर देना है तो एक या दो बार ज्ञान इंसान दे देगा, बट इसमें यहाँ पे बहुत सारी चीजें उसने एड्रेस की है, और वो जो चीजें उसने एड्रेस की है वो ऑब्वियसली कॉन्शियसली एड्रेस की है. यही आप शाहरुख को निकाल करके किसी और एक्टर को डाल दो, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्टार, किसी और एक्टर को डाल दो, लोग बोलेंगे अबे छोड़ना, क्यों बोल रहा, आगे बढ़ना. बट शाहरुख कैन कैरी इट, शाहरुख विल बी एबल टू कैरी इट. जैसे वो एंड का पोर्शन है जहां पे वो पूरा ईवीएम बॉक्सेस उठा करके लेके आ जाते हैं और वो बोलते हैं कि 2 दिन के बाद वोटिंग है. वो ऐसा कोई स्ट्रॉन्ग काउंटर पॉइंट, क्लाइमैक्स का पॉइंट दिखता नहीं है कि ये ईवीएम उठा करके लेके आ गया. मतलब व्हाट इज दैट. ये मुझे मतलब शाहरुख और दीपिका को जब अटैक करते हैं, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट विक्रम राठौर, जहां पे उसको उठाकर लेके चले जाते हैं, कहाँ रहते हैं ये लोग, कौन सी जगह है वो, इतने आइसोलेशन में कि आपको दूर दूर तक एक मोमबत्ती भी नहीं दिख रही है, और वहां पे क्यों रह रहा है इस तरीके का आदमी. ये बातें समझ में नहीं आई मुझे. बट एनीवे, लॉजिकली जी जो चीज अगर उसको छोड़ दो, बट सिनेमैटिकली इट लुक्स नाइस. एक्शन सीक्वेंसेस, बिलीव मी, आई डोंट नो अबाउट अदर्स, बट मुझे पर्सनली इसके एक्शन सीक्वेंसेस पठान से बेटर लगे. स्पेशली वो कंटेनर वाला सीक्वेंस तो कमाल है. इट्स सो गुड. मतलब आई रिमेंबर somebody telling me that after he watched the film and he came, he says Atlee has spent so much time, energy and resources to try and execute the action sequences in a way that will sort of sweep you off your feet. So when you see a film and you decide, or when you're making a film and you decide मेरा USP क्या है, तो इधर obvious USP तो शाहरुख खान है, obviously, but at the same time his USP which he decided is, the director must have decided, is मेरी फिल्म का एक्शन जो है वो अनटचेबल होना चाहिए. It has to be so brilliant. The third thing that I'd like to say more importantly, and then for the time being I'll just keep quiet, I'll listen to you and I'll come back later, is that commercial cinema के in अंदर 95% or 99% of the time फीमेल्स को करने के लिए कुछ नहीं होता. वो ज्यादातर आते हैं, गाते हैं, रोते हैं और चले जाते हैं. बट इस फिल्म में औरतों का जो इस्तेमाल है वो बहुत ब्रिलियंट है. मुझे लगता है मैंने इस किस्म की फीमेल एक्शन शायद ही हिंदी सिनेमा में देखा होगा, जिस तरीके से एटली ने लेडीज से, फीमेल से एक्शन करवाया है, कन्विंसिंगली करवाया है, और उनके कैरेक्टर्स को पोर्ट्रे किया है. लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल मे लाइक इट, मे नॉट लाइक इट, that is there, but मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. And finally, very heavy, मुझे ऐसा लगा personally again, very heavy influence of Money Heist. I can see a solid influence of Money Heist on this. I will finish off with saying that when you see two Shah Rukh Khans on screen, it is like seeing two Spider-Mans on screen. You just clap your way, because both of them are so brilliant on screen. They hold themselves so well. And you realize when Nalini ji said कि मुझे फादर वाला रोल ज्यादा लगता है, आप फिल्म देखो तो आपको लगता है कि बाप जो है वो बाप है, बेटा जो है वो बेटा है. वो क्लियर कट डिमार्केशन एज अ कैरेक्टर दिखता है. For now, this is what I will hold on to, and I will come in later on if need be. But this is what my more or less shortcomings तो और भी होंगे, बहुत हैं डिस्कस करने के लिए. बट आई डोंट, हाँ, म्यूजिक मुझे अच्छा लगा. उसने म्यूजिक को क्या किया, म्यूजिक को उसने पूरे पूरे गाने इस्तेमाल नहीं किए. म्यूजिक मुझे लगता है उसको लगता था कि जितना हम लोगों को लगता है कि ये फिल्म में होल्ड करेगा उतना ही रखा. एक मुखड़ा एक अंतरा आगे चला गया, एक मुखड़ा एक अंतरा आगे चला गया. बट मेरे लिए जो जेल वाला गाना है दीपिका का, इट इज प्रोबेबली वन ऑफ द बेस्ट शॉर्ट सॉन्ग्स. वेरी इमोशनल and extremely well shot. Over to you, Nalini ji.
You know, Ashiji, you were talking about the editing, and technically you've explained it. Thank you for that. But this flash editing, it was very, very noticeable. And Sandeep would talk more about it because he's seen all of Atlee's films. So I don't know if this was a feature in all his other films. So yes, the information is coming, but it's coming. It looked almost like jump cuts. So it was really fast-paced, half cuts, half lines, half sentence editing, which was extremely noticeable. And after a point, it's kind of like you give up and you say, okay, fine, yeah, just let me sit back in my chair and just let me see what's happening.
क्या होता है ना नलिनी जी, मैं आपको बताऊं कि ये जो चीज है ये डायरेक्टर का स्टाइल ही होता है. सो ऑब्वियसली ये डायरेक्टर ने साउथ की फिल्मों भी इस तरीके से ही बनाई होंगी. आई हैव नॉट सीन एनी ऑफ हिज साउथ फिल्म्स, बट दिस इज द स्टाइल ऑफ अ डायरेक्टर. बट कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है ना कि कुछ चीजों में ठहराव चाहिए. जैसे अगर आप अमिताभ बच्चन को, this is not demeaning in any way to anybody, and I'm just trying to make a point here कि आप एक शॉट अमिताभ बच्चन के साथ में लगा लो और he will speak one 4-page monologue also without a single cut. और आपको ठहराव लगता है, आपको लगता है कि एक इंपॉर्टेंट चीज को हमने सुना और आपको वो चीज जज्ब करने के लिए भी उसने डायरेक्टर ने मौका दिया. यहाँ पे भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें बोली गई हैं, बट इसका स्टाइल इस तरीके से है डायरेक्टर का, एटली का, कि ही वांट्स टू डू इट विद मल्टीपल कट्स, मल्टीपल एंगल्स, विद मल्टीपल पोजिशनिंग्स, so that he drives home his point. That's his way, that's his style, nothing wrong. That is one. But मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इस तरीके से जब चीज होती है तो थोड़ा ठहराव कम होता है. ये चीजें इंसान जनरली एक्शन में करता है, म्यूजिक में करता है, बट फिल्म मेकिंग में कोई रूल होता भी नहीं है. You create your rules as long as you can convincingly say it, and at least manage to say his points very convincingly. This is my point of view.
So these jump cuts and this fast-paced editing, which was like a headache, it's almost as if what it seemed to me as a viewer was that he's in a hurry to tell us a lot of things. A lot of information is just being stuffed into your brain, and he's in a tearing hurry, and that might be his style. Fair enough. I have not seen another film which has got this, because I too have not seen any of Atlee's films. I had asked Saurabh which film I should see, and he had told me none. Don't see any. And Sandeep kind of said that that was good advice. So in that sense, that was so after a while you just sit back and say, okay, let me just enjoy Shah Rukh. And quite frankly, when I was watching the film, even I was just waiting for Shah Rukh to come on screen like everyone else was. And Shah Rukh usko maar na Shah Rukh, maar Shah Rukh. And like you said, that last action scene with the long bed trucks, I thought that was just completely out of this world. When all that action is happening, and then the father comes, Vikram Rathore, the older Shah Rukh, with his choice of weapon. So for me, I'm saying it again, it was a Tamil film, and I think Deepika Padukone deserves a lot of praise because she's really done a good job in this. I enjoyed her a lot. I enjoyed her, and I enjoyed Shah Rukh a lot. And I found that little kid, which is again a very South Indian thing, and it's also used to happen in a lot of South Indian films which were made into Hindi. That little kid, ye jo trope hai na ki chota bacha will select the bow for the mother or the father. So I found all that quite irritating and unnecessary. I would, by no stretch of imagination, is this a great film or anything like that. And I, quite frankly, using my son's word, he says, Mama, as silly and ridiculous as this film is, it's more enjoyable than Pathan. And That's a fact. Even I enjoyed it more than Pathan. And I feel कि इस film में शाहरुख ने rightly or wrongly, whatever, I think rightly only because he's been through a lot, उसने अपनी सारी भड़ास निकाली है इस फिल्म में. और वो बाप बेटे का जो डायलॉग है, वो तो मुझे लगता है कि ये फिल्म बनी इसी वजह से है कि शाहरुख इतने सालों से चुप था जो भी हो रहा था. It's a vigilante film, anti-establishment film. He has said what he wants through the film, and not just that बाप बेटे का dialogue from the beginning till the end.
वो बाप बेटे का डायलॉग जो है ना, वो तो क्लैप ट्रैप है. मतलब क्या है कि वो लोगों को भी मालूम है कि ये बोलेगा और लोग तालियां बजाएंगे उसके ऊपर.
आशु जी, मुझे ना जैसे ही वो डायलॉग आया, जस्ट लाइक इन मेनी अदर फिल्म्स ऑफ दिस काइंड, ये डायलॉग जो होते हैं ना, उसमें वो जो स्क्रीन प्ले लिखता है ना राइटर, तो मुझे लगता है वो लिखने के बाद जैसे ही लाइन लिखा और उसके नीचे लिख दिया ब्रैकेट में क्यू ऑडियंस टू गो बसर, ऑडियंस टू क्लैप, है ना. तो और एक और चीज, सुहानी जी और आशु जी, बिफोर आई टॉक अबाउट द गुड थिंग्स एंड व्हाट आई लाइक्ड अबाउट पठान, आशु जी ने रैपिड कट्स या फास्ट एडिट की जो बात की, आई वुड लाइक टू जस्ट क्विकली से समथिंग अबाउट इट. सो आशु जी, आई नोटिस इट, आई हैव बीन नोटिसिंग इट फॉर क्वाइट some time now, and KGF is where it was taken to an extreme, right, and to the point that it bothered me. See, I understand that when anything that a director does, right, within a film is a manipulation. Director long shot leta hai, wide shot, jo bhi karta hai, any technical decision that a director takes, he is manipulating the audience.
Absolutely.
Right? It is his decision, and you are just seeing the aftermaths of that decision. So I don't have any idealistic views of saying कि I felt manipulated or the director manipulated me. ऐसा नहीं है. Any choice that he takes is manipulation in a way. वरना तो आप किताब में मतलब पेपर पे लिखी हुई स्क्रीन पे ही पढ़ लेते. But these rapid cuts, once they cross a limit, these are becoming very like जैसे बटन पुशिंग म्यूजिक होता है कि वो ऑडियंस को बोल रहे हैं कि तुमको ये फील करना चाहिए. Whether the audience feels sad at somebody doing an action on screen or not, button pushing music is when you are literally playing the violin on full pathos mode ki ab ro. ये रैपिड कट्स मुझे उस लेवल का मैनिपुलेशन लगता है, बिकॉज इट क्रिएट्स अ फॉल्स सेंस ऑफ अर्जेंसी. और आप एक बार वो सीन और वो फिल्म खत्म हो जाए, उसके बाद आप व्हेन यू लुक बैक यू थिंक कि ऐसा था नहीं इतना अच्छा जो मुझे लगा. There wasn't. So that I feel is becoming a very commonly used hack these days. जो KGF 2 में especially, KGF 1 did not have that to that extent. KGF 2 had, और वही एटली ने यहाँ भी किया है. See, filmmaking wise, the technical parts of it, how to show the introduction and reintroduction of hero, like Ashik you mentioned कि कुछ 50 बार शाहरुख का इसमें इंट्रोडक्शन हुआ है, वो जब भी आता है स्क्रीन पे वो इंट्रोडक्शन as good as that. तो ये तो एटली की भी पहली फिल्मों में है. This there are a lot of the Telugu and Tamil films. So coming to Jawan and the things that I liked, I really like that after a long time in Hindi films, वो जो मसाला हीरो का एक इंट्रोडक्शन होता है, BGM एक पर्टिकुलर उसका एक ट्रेडमार्क BGM होता है, and Anirudh again is a very good choice for the BGM and the title track, because over the last 7-8 years he has given some of the most memorable background score and title tracks for films, and background score becomes very important when you're showing the hero's introduction and the fight scenes. तो वो एक high point create करता है. तो I like that. The songs didn't work for me, and again mostly I have never liked quite a lot of the songs that Anirudh has composed apart from the title tracks of the films. So वो था. Baki, just like you, Nalini ji, I like the older Shah Rukh Khan better.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I was just feasting my eyes on him. And, you know, see, that's the other thing. These jump cuts, sorry to interrupt, Sandeep, I'll come back to you. These jump cuts ruined one thing for me, which was so good in the film. They've shown Shah Rukh, the older one, Vikram Rathore, when somebody's telling the story and said कि हमारे यहाँ एक मसीहा आया था. I think that Tibetan boy or
Yeah.
man who's grown up, right? He's saying हमारे यहाँ तो वहाँ पे एक बहुत ही quick shot है जहाँ पे शाहरुख is kind of bare chested. He's got very little, or he's wearing a vest, and you can see his muscles and everything. And it just went by. I mean, they could have lingered on that a little long. You know, that might have been manipulative, but in a nice way, because you already like that character. You like the fact that Shahrukh is looking so good, and they've come back, and quickly, it's like a blink and a miss. They've moved over to something else. Yeah, continue, Sandeep. Continue.
True. I mentioned the background, the older Shahrukh, and ये सेम बाप बेटे का या बड़े भाई और छोटे भाई का ये जो एंगल है, this has been done in a lot of Telugu and Tamil films. When reviewers are talking about it, or people not too well versed with films from Tamil and Telugu are talking about it, a lot of them are saying there's a lot of resemblance to Tamil films. But I also would like to mention one thing which not a lot of people talk about, is that this father-son angle, and when you start thinking that, or the filmmaker leads you to believe that it's the son or it's the father who's doing it, and then they suddenly twist and see that it's the son, right? Or the
Yeah.
other way around. ये भी तेलुगु films में actually दिखा चुके हैं. And in fact, I'm not sure how many of you know, but Balkrishna was a big star in Telugu. He has a regular director with whom he has given multiple hits now, Boy Patisino, and they have done around 3 or 4 films with the similar concept, including that interval cut twist where the older character appears and saves the younger guy.
Right.
तो ये हो चुका है. But the reason why it works is the way you execute it, and that Atlee has done really well. To the openings, the interval twist where you know that obviously the older guy is going to come, right? It's very apparent if you have seen any of these films, and he comes. But the way he pulls it off, I have to say that not a lot many other stars who have done this in the past have pulled it off to this extent. It is really one of the best in terms of how he pulled off that entry and the subsequent sequences. So I really like that. Some of the backstories of the girls I liked. Priyamanika was cut short, but from whatever little they showed, when they are trying to bring her back, and every shot of the defibrillator, it cuts to something from some shot from the past.
Yes.
We only get to see it in 2-3 scenes. I would have preferred to watch this backstory played out instead of, let's say, the earlier one, which involved the actor Omkar from sorry, I am
People Live.
the People Live actor,
Yeah.
right? तो वो कुछ बहुत ही ज्यादा मेलोड्रामा जोन में था, क्योंकि कोई बैंक ऑफिसर अगर इतनी शिद्दत से अपना काम करे ना, तो मतलब पता नहीं हम कहीं और होते हैं आज की डेट में. ऐसा होता नहीं. एंड 70s की फिल्म्स में नहीं, 60s में हिंदी फिल्मों में भी ये दिखाते थे. बट वो जो पैसा मांगने आता था ना, वो सेठ होता था या मुनीम होता था जिसके खुद का पैसा होता था. ठीक है, कोई बैंक का एम्प्लॉय नहीं आएगा ऐसे.
पर इसको शिद्दत से पैसा मांगना नहीं बोलते, वो तो एक्सटॉर्शन हो गया. और यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट दैट फ्रॉम अ प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टर, लाइक यू सेड, कोई मुनीम हो या कोई लाला हो. बट एक फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन के बंदे इस तरीके के बात, कोई जमाना होता था करते होंगे, बट ये आजकल तो मुझे नहीं लगता इस तरीके की बात होती है, हरकत भी होती है.
नहीं, और जितना उसका डेडिकेशन है ना कि वो बैंक का सूद समेत पैसा वापस लेके चला जाए, अगर वैसी बात होती तो फिर क्या ही बात थी.
खास करके मौत के बाद. अच्छा, मैं आपको बताऊं, ये मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है, पता नहीं आप लोगों का एक्सपीरियंस है कि नहीं, बट इफ द पर्सन डाइज, देन द लोन अमाउंट ऑल्सो गेट्स नलिफाइड. इट्स नॉट लाइक ये मर गया तो अब उसके बच्चे और उसकी बीवी और वो जो है वो सब लोन देना शुरू करते हैं. नो, इट डजंट हैपन इन दिस कंट्री लाइक दिस अनलेस दे आर को बोरोवर्स.
तो हाँ, वो प्रियमणिका का सीक्वेंस वहां पे ज्यादा दिखाते हैं, वो बैक स्टोरी ज्यादा कुछ एक्सप्लोर करते हैं, क्योंकि अगर आप नोटिस करेंगे वो जैसे शॉर्ट भी हुआ है, एंड बाय दैट यू कैन सी दैट दे एक्चुअली शॉट द बैक स्टोरी फॉर प्रियमणि, बट प्रॉब्ली ऑन द एडिटिंग टेबल इट गॉट चॉप्ड ऑफ. That's what it looked like to me, but the way it was shot now, that again reminded me of of the initial sequence, very similar color palette, a dark undertone, and the kind of tragedy they were showing, वो मुझे it would have excited me more on screen to see that rather than the same similar kind of a story that we have been seeing from 50s. So वो था. बाकी I had a major problem with the way they depicted Vijay Sethupathe's
Oh
character.
God, you've taken the words out of my mouth. That's my biggest bugbear.
Yeah, an actor of Vijay Sethupathe's caliber, right? When you take him in a film, you better make good use of him. It is criminal to not use him the right way. And this is where my liking for Pathan is better than Jawan, because yes, Pathan had its flaw, काफी सारी चीजें थी उसमें, but the antagonist is so well edged out, and almost for 50-60% of the film, you would see that he's powerful than the hero. That is when he finally when the protagonist beats him, he comes out triumphant. But yeah, to use Mr. Bharadwaj Rangan's words, who's a very famous film critic, कि ये मसाला फिल्म में होता है कि सबको सब कुछ मिलता है. There is a plot, there are other characters who get a lot of meat, but what becomes mass in Tamil and Telugu cinema is that कि hero है और उसके around सब कुछ है, the others just exist on the fringes, including the villain. अब देखेंगे बहुत सारी फिल्मों में है ये कि they call this the Bombay villain in Tamil and Telugu, कि ये कोई actors होंगे, Dino Moria or Rahul Dev and actors like these, right? They'll represent a corporation or an evil system, and they'll just exist to be beaten up by the hero. और कुछ नहीं है उनका काम. 3-4 dialogue बोलना है. When anyways their voices are dubbed by some local dubbing artist, and they'll just get beaten up without any meat at all to the characters. And that was my problem. When you take Vijay Sethupathi, you don't do that.
You know, Sandeep, that's my biggest bugbear about this film. This was really upsetting for me. I didn't even care for his get-up much. And I mean, I love Vijay Sethupathi, maybe even more than so many other actors. And then for somebody like Ackley, who knows what that actor is capable of, this is what I say about stardom. You know, people lose their way when I'm sure that the lead actor in this case, Shah Rukh Khan, has not told him कि उसको मुझसे कम दिखाना. But the fact is that, like you're saying, in Pathan, John Abraham also is not a great actor, but you're absolutely right that the antagonist looked on par with the protagonist. And here, what is this pusillanimous character? Because that's how he was appearing to me. He was appearing pusillanimous, and they've just given him a gray beard and white hair, and then he has the same way of saying his dialogues, Vijay Sethupathi. It's becoming a bit of a thing now for me. He has to do something different, but I'm not blaming him for this as an actor. I would definitely hold the writers and the director responsible, but that was not okay for me. Okay, Suhani, I'm very, very sorry that you've been silent for so long. I'm quickly coming across to you. Please let us have your thoughts on what the rest of, or whatever Ashuu has said and what Sandeep has said.
No worries at all. I enjoyed listening and I was making my own notes. So I'll just take the discussion ahead with the beginning scene, the introduction scene, which we were talking about. And I forgot. Yeah, so Ashuu said that there comes on the screen a big name very later called Shah Rukh Khan. But try to remember that when does it come? So when Sandeep was talking about the meta references which all these writers are using very cleverly, and I'm glad that they are doing it. I just hope that it doesn't become a new formula. So, and it was the same thing in Pathan, and it has been done again very cleverly in Jawan. So Pathan में भी आप याद करिए, Pathan का जो introduction scene है, he's kind of a phantom, एक तरह से चलता फिरता प्रेत जो है भी और नहीं भी, जिसके बारे में लेजेंडरी कहानियां हैं, लेकिन वो 4 सालों से गायब है. Again, a reference to Shah Rukh Khan's bruised and beaten career, a career gap of 4 years, and then he appears, and the person who is beating is so skeptical कि क्या ये सच में आ गया है वापस, and he says Pathan, and then he replies Zinda hai. And similarly, in In Jawan, again, he's hurt, he's bruised and beaten. And there was one dialogue in the trailer which is not done by Shah Rukh Khan in the film, but it is done by Vijay Sethupathi when he's talking to his brother कि एक राजा था, बहुत घायल था और भूखा प्यासा जंगल में घूम रहा था, which is in terms of again
Shahrukh.
Raja is Shah Rukh Khan,
Yeah.
the King Khan. भूखा प्यासा जंगल में भटक रहा था, घायल था. And remember, शाहरुख खान का नाम तब आता है जब वो कहता है कि मैं कौन हूँ.
हाँ.
And then appears Shahrukh Khan.
Yeah.
And I still have goosebumps when I'm saying this. And as a fan, unapologetically, I'm saying that Nalini ji, अगर ना लोग उस dialogue में even they vomit out of happiness or they go faint, I won't blame them, because when you share that emotion, when he's saying कि मैं कौन हूँ, because almost he was being, there were articles written about him, writing him off and whatever, the personal setbacks he has seen. And उसमें जब सुमित अरोड़ा ये लिखते हैं कि मैं कौन हूँ और नीचे आता है शाहरुख खान, तो it's a cinematic high. And for that, I'll give the credit to Atlee and the writers.
Absolutely.
And there are again so many beautiful meta references in Jawan, like जैसे पठान में था कि मेरे देश में मेरी परवरिश की है. And आप देखिए कि Pathan is totally governed by and controlled by a female boss like Dimple Kapadia. And you hardly see that a superstar being controlled by a female character. ये उनके machoism पे एक तरह से बात आ जाती है, तो ये नहीं easily acceptable होता है ना superstars के द्वारा ना उनकी audiences के द्वारा. लेकिन आप जवान में देखिए, he is helped by a team of women throughout and out. They are treating him, they are carrying him when he is getting hurt, they are transferring him from one place to another, they are going to save him. And again, even in Vikram Rathore, he gets वो तो उनको दीपिका पटक देती है वो wrestling scene में. Who will accept this? And there is one dialogue again which was being pointed out on Twitter, and even Sumit Arora thanked that person ki I'm so thankful कि you noticed the nuances of his dialogues. जब शाहरुख खान कहते हैं कि यहाँ आदमी तेरे होंगे लेकिन ये जेल मेरी औरतों का है,
बिल्कुल.
And if you see the the character of Shah Rukh Khan and the character of Azad and Vikram Rathore go hand in hand together, you'll observe, you'll realize that only Shah Rukh Khan could have delivered this dialogue with so much conviction, because he has literally been raised by the country, and women have been his support throughout in his career.
Yes, his mother, his sister, and his wife.
His wife and his female fan followings all over the world. So in terms of writing, I'm so glad that the writers are, it's kind of a homage, and also they have taken it personally. What you have done to our superstar, we are going to give it back through our writing and through our dialogues. And it's been done amazingly in Jawan too. Second thing, the one thing I absolutely dislike what they have done to Vijay Sethupathi. Again, an amazing character reduced to some sort of a comical actor, comical bit, and the villain should be menacing. I agree. I liked Pathan more for its screenplay writing. It was more coherent, and the little plot points were weaved amazingly in the screen. Jawan suffers from too many plot points and very poor antagonists. And you're right. You and Nalini ji, you and Sandeep are right. It's not about Shah Rukh Khan, क्योंकि ये बिल्कुल वो बात नहीं है कि शाह रुख खान के सामने एक फीका एंटेगनिस्ट रखना है, क्योंकि अगर वो बात होती तो अब पठान में हमको इतना बेहतरीन एक एंटेगनिस्ट मिलता ही नहीं विलेन. John Abraham, in all respect of his limited capacity as an actor, he was at par with Shah Rukh Khan, and in many scenes, even I love Shah Rukh Khan to that, but I liked John Abraham's screen presence more on Pathan. But in Jawan, it's absolutely opposite of it.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
other thing, it's the most terrible on-screen chemistry in Shah Rukh Khan's career with Nayanthara. Terrible, terrible, worst chemistry. Because you may blame it on the writing, and you know that they meet for a very short time, and she's a single mother, and she's not looking for romance, whatever. But to have Shah Rukh Khan in your film, और उनको इतना बुरा chemistry देना is पाप. ये एक पाप है जिसके लिए एटली को माफ नहीं किया जाएगा. Yeah, I don't blame her performance. I'll blame the writers क्योंकि आप ये क्या दिखा रहे हैं कि आपने एक इतनी strong महिला किरदार रखी है. You know, she is a lady who gives up on her future plan of marriage or her relationship for for giving birth to a baby, and she's a single parent. और ये बात भी हमको सोचनी चाहिए कि ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है कि शी इज अ विडोवर और समवन हु यू नो जो कभी शादीशुदा थी एंड शी वाज चीटेड ऑन और नथिंग. शी टेक्स दैट डिसीजन विलफुली एंड शी इज सो स्ट्रांग. और आप इतनी स्ट्रांग कैरेक्टर को ला रहे हो एंड देन व्हाट आर यू शोइंग दैट इन वन सॉन्ग शी फॉल्स इन लव विद हिम.
Oof, exactly my point. Yeah.
और फिर वो शादी के बाद जब दे आर अबाउट टू इट्स देयर फर्स्ट नाइट शी इज सेइंग कि um, तुम इतने हमेशा सीरियस रहते हो क्या. मैं सोची आज तुम कुछ रोमांटिक बातें करोगे एंड
That
आई
was so
वाज लाइक
silly, Suhani. I agree.
मुझे लगा कि बीच में मैंने कुछ मिस कर दिया क्या. कोई सीन मतलब डिड आई डोज ऑफ और डिड आई मिस समथिंग. बिकॉज हाउ कैन यू हैव दैट कैरेक्टर ग्रोथ फ्रॉम meeting for the first time and laying down the conditions of marriage and then going to asking the guy to say romantic lines for you.
Exactly.
Terrible romantic chemistry. The little girl and Shah Rukh had better chemistry than Nayanthara and SRK. And then again, too many plot points. Too many plot points. So every time, in fact, when I watched the trailer, I was expecting a psycho, menacing, Joker-like character who hijacks the train. And when I was watching that scene, I was totally up for it. मुझे नहीं पता था कि फिर वो सेम शाहरुख खान आ जाएगा जो गर्ल्स को चीयर अप कर रहा है कि अभी तो हमने बहुत छोटा किया है, अभी हमें बहुत कुछ करना है. वो दैट वाज अ लेट डाउन फॉर मी. आई वांटेड हिम टू गो फुल बर्जर्क ऑन स्क्रीन. इन दैट सीन वो अपने बिल्कुल प्राइम पे है परफॉर्मेंस की. द हस्की वॉइस व्हिच ही हैज अडॉप्टेड एंड जिस तरह का वो एक्शन कर रहे हैं या जिस तरह से वो डायलॉग्स बोल रहे हैं जो उनका मोनोलॉग है, इट इज ऑन प्राइम. और उसमें एक सडन टोनल शिफ्ट भी है. वो फार्मर की स्टोरी लाकर वो भी एक बहुत ही जारिंग टोनल शिफ्ट है. लेकिन उसके बाद भी whenever a same शाहरुख खान appears like आजाद, जब वो हमको एक साधारण बंदा लगता है जो जेलर है और जो इतनी सारी औरतों के सपोर्ट से वो अपना कुछ काम करता है. आई डेंट लाइक दैट शाहरुख खान एट ऑल.
Me
आई
neither.
वांटेड मुझे वो बिल्कुल नहीं अच्छा लगा. आई वांटेड हिम टू रिमेन साइको और आइदर इन द साइको मोड लाइक an adopted criminal mode or in the Vikram Rathore mode. The middle road, Shah Rukh Khan Azad, I didn't enjoy him. I'll even go ahead and say that I didn't enjoy the monologue too. I think he has done it beautifully before in Survi Dil Hindustani. It was more convincing. I understand his personal angst against the system and against the and his desperate call to the audiences, but I didn't enjoy the monologue. But having said that, I really appreciate because as I said, surface level पे तो कुछ भी नहीं है जो आपने पहले नहीं देखा है. आपने फार्मर्स की कहानी सुनी है, आपने जो हमारा एक रॉटन मेडिकल सिस्टम है उसके बारे में कहानी देखी है, आपने वोटिंग राइट्स के बारे में या लोगों की एक चेतना को जो जगाना होता है उनके सबसे बड़े राइट्स को लेकर उस पर कहानियां देखी हैं. हाँ, लेकिन जब आज के दौर पे इस वक्त पे एक कहानी में शाहरुख खान ये सारे मुद्दों को उठाते हैं, एंड शाहरुख खान, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट आजाद और विक्रम राठौर, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट शाहरुख खान एज अ कल्चरल आइकॉन। जब वो इन सारे मुद्दों पे बातें करते हैं तो ये फिर वो सिर्फ एक एंटरटेनमेंट फिल्म नहीं रह जाती। मुझे नहीं लगता वो जो शिकायत कर रहे हैं इस फिल्म से कि हमने बहुत कुछ देखा है, तमिल फिल्मों में देखा है, तेलुगु फिल्मों में देखा है, ये कुछ नया नहीं है, लेकिन उनको समझना चाहिए कि ये हिंदी सिनेमा के लिए नया था। हम भूल गए थे। एंटी एस्टेब्लिशमेंट हीरो हमारा कई सालों से नहीं। हमारे हीरो डांस कर रहे थे, स्मॉल टाउन कॉमेडीज कर रहे थे, रोमांस कर रहे थे, गाने गा रहे थे, या एक टोटली अलग सिनेमा था, अनुराग कश्यप के जॉनरा का, जो जिसमें कुछ और ही अतरंगी चीजें हो रही थी। लेकिन ये जो दौर था ये बहुत वक्त के बाद आया। And as a fan, I'll say that when 4 years ago Shah Rukh Khan's film were getting flopped one by one, I, being a die-hard fan, had never imagined कि वो इस तरह से उनका resurrection होगा और he'll come in this avatar. So I think it's a very cleverly written film. It may appear very stupid on screen, but it is a cleverly made film.
Nice, Suhani. And I absolutely, completely, 100% agree with you about the lack of chemistry between these two. I love Nayantara, but you're absolutely, when I was watching that whole thing, Inki Shadi, wo bachchi, and again, Sandeep, Ashuu ji, again, it seemed like कुछ इन्होंने निकाला और काट दिया और फिर कुछ दो चीजें जोड़ी है because it was so quick. Like she's saying, and that dialogue, people started laughing. I was laughing at that dialogue when she said कि are you always that serious? You know, आज मैंने सोचा तुम रोमांस करोगे, अरे बहुत ही अजीब अजीब था वो सारा उसका शादी एक ही रात में। तो आई कंप्लीटली एग्री, और मैंने पहले ही बोला था कि ये फिल्म शायद बनी इस वजह से है, ये लोग बैठे होंगे और डिस्कस किया होगा कि शाहरुख खान विजिलेंटी एंटी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट फिल्म बनाना चाहता है, अपनी भड़ास निकालना चाहता है against everything that has been happening to him or how he's seeing it. So I think that would be one main reason for him to do it, because Sandeep, I don't know. I mean, at least films, you've seen all four of them before this, the Tamil films. And you yourself said that, when we were talking on a different conversation, that he's a guy who picks up things from here, there, wherever, and then he makes a mishran out of it. So for me, at least in this, like I messaged you after you asked me, what did I think of Jawan? I didn't share my views with you, but all I wrote was that for me, Atlee is a poor man's Shankar. And Suhani, you're absolutely right that for the last 10, 15 years, I can't remember a Hindi film which has been a vigilante film. I can't remember. I don't know. Ashuji, can you remember any, or can you think of any other vigilante film in recent times?
Actually, Nalini ji, I'll just speak here. So, Vikramaditya Motwani's Bhavesh Joshi was a vigilante film.
Oh, yes, the one with Harshvardhan Kapoor, no?
Yeah, it was very limited in terms of its access for the audiences. It had it was very focused, and it covered issues which hardly, the majority of our people will relate to. But again, it takes an icon like Shah Rukh Khan or probably Amitabh Bachchan to actually give a wake-up call to the people of the country.
Actually, I didn't care at all for that stealing of the AVM machines, because I know they're trying to send a message. I know exactly what they're trying to say. When he raised his hand in that monologue, when he's telling us to vote responsibly, and that entire monologue was very good. It was well written. But his hand was out. He's actually telling you who to vote for and who not to vote for.
I didn't want to say it, but जो नलिनी जी बोल रही है, fact है, he has showed his palm. उसके अंदर फिल्म के अंदर उसने अपना palm दिखाया. But at the same time, जिसको समझ में आया आया, जिसको समझ में नहीं आया नहीं आया, it doesn't matter, because इसीलिए मैं कह रहा था कि ज्ञान मत दो, एंटरटेन करो लोगों को, आकर के लोग आपकी एंटरटेनमेंट, एक्शन, फाइट, डायलॉग बाजी, प्रेजेंस, वो सब देखने आए हैं. The moment you start giving gyan, it means that you're utilizing your position in a different way. Unless you make a film which is full of gyan, then you say it. So मैं एक बहुत छोटा सा एग्जांपल देना चाहता हूँ, जहां पे मोनोलॉग अच्छा लगता है, ज्ञान भी दे रहा है, लेकिन ब्रिलियंट लगता है बिकॉज फिल्म उस स्पेस में है, वो है अ वेडनेसडे. जब नसीरुद्दीन शाह बोलना शुरू करते हैं एंड में, आप सुनते हो। जब आप परेश रावल को सुनते हो मुंबई मेरी जान में, आपको अच्छा लगता है, आपको करेक्ट लगता है। लेकिन ये जो चीज है, ये ऐसा लगता है कि आपको कुछ बात आउट ऑफ द कॉन्टेक्स्ट कुछ कहना है, कुछ इंटेलिजेंट होना है, तो ये चीज आ गई। सो व्हेन यू आर मेकिंग अ नॉन इंटेलिजेंट फिल्म, then don't try and be intelligent at times, or make a completely intelligent film and say what you want.
मोनोलॉग अच्छा ही नहीं लगा, मैं आपको बता रही हूँ। भले ही वो लिखा बहुत अच्छे से है, बट मुझे बहुत आउट ऑफ प्लेस लगा। इस पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट में, इस पर्टिकुलर मोनोलॉग में मुझे लगा कि शाहरुख खान बात करने आया है, आजाद बात करने नहीं आया, तो इट फेल्ट वेरी आउट ऑफ प्लेस।
बट सुहानी, मुझे कुछ ज्यादा उस मोनोलॉग के लाइंस, आई मीन क्रक्स थोड़ा बहुत याद है। आई जस्ट वांटेड टू आस्क यू, वो मोनोलॉग आपको क्यों नहीं पसंद आया? मुझे इतना याद नहीं है ना, मैं कह रही हूँ, बट उसका पॉइंट जो बना रहा था वो सही था ना?
पॉइंट्स तो
सही।
बहुत अच्छे हैं,
हाँ
बहुत
हाँ
अच्छे
हाँ
पॉइंट्स है, आई एग्री।
हाँ,
बट वो
करेक्ट।
परफॉर्मेंस बहुत ड्रामेटिक है नलिनी जी।
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके।
About that, him showing his
His
this
palm.
open fist, palm again and again. I think that's too much of reading. I
No,
don't
no, no, no,
think.
no. It's very pointed, Suhani. It's not too much of reading. It's a message. It's a message.
I personally don't. I think, yeah, he's showing his finger, like the voting finger again and again. I got that, but it really didn't come to my mind that he's somehow hinting to vote for.
He
Yeah.
shows the voting finger and then his entire palm, and it's there for a long time. It's a symbol. It is an underlying message. And absolutely, it's fine. I mean, he wants to give that message. That's his view.
I also don't
Yeah.
think that it's a propaganda film because we keep on pandering ourselves कि ये कुछ बोलते नहीं, ये कुछ बोलते नहीं, देश में इतनी घटनाएं हो जाती हैं, ये कुछ बोलते नहीं, अपना मुंह नहीं खोलते,
हाँ, वो
कोई
वही,
बयान नहीं
हाँ
देते।
हाँ।
So I think somehow um, you both, you and Ashuji are from the industry and you understand it much, much, much better than I and Sandeep. But I think that in a way he wants to comment on the current system, not only current, whatever has been happening in the country for a long time, and as a major cultural figure of the country, he has somehow, aligned his personal beliefs with the film's screenplay or the dialogues, but I won't term it exactly a propaganda film.
एक्चुअली वो 80s और 90s का दौर था जहां पे एंटी इस्टेब्लिशमेंट और बहुत सारी विजिलेंटी फिल्में बना करती थी, और लोगों को अच्छा लगता था बिकॉज लोगों को लगता था कि हम सिस्टम से इतने मारे गए हैं कि हमारे हमारी तरफ से कोई स्क्रीन पे रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए है, बोलने के लिए है, बात करने के लिए है,
हम्म
लड़ने के लिए है, सब कुछ झेलने के लिए है, चाहे वो फिर अर्जुन हो, चाहे आखिरी रास्ता हो। बहुत सारी फिल्में, अमित अमित जी ने ही
हम्म
खुद बहुत सारी फिल्में की इस तरीके की। बट ऑफ रिसेंट जो फिल्में हमने देखी हैं, विजिलेंटी नहीं है लेकिन एंटी इस्टेब्लिशमेंट फिल्में बहुत देखी है हमने। इवन इन दिस रीसेंट पास्ट वी हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ
हम्म
एंटी इस्टेब्लिशमेंट फिल्म्स, चाहे वो उड़ता पंजाब टाइप फिल्में हो या वट एवर।
हम्म
बट क्या है ना, मुझे ऐसा पर्सनली लगता है कि political comment. See what happens, no? Like Suhani says, most of the times, filmmakers in their films try to stay away from making a political comment. What they end up doing mostly is entertaining. What is a way of entertaining a film without trying to create I wouldn't say divide, but without trying to make a political comment about ये फिल्म इस तरीके से मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ, बिकॉज एटलीस्ट बॉम्बे की फिल्म्स में इस तरीके की हरकतें बहुत अगर होती होंगी तो बहुत मिनिमल होती होंगी। दे वर नॉट टू मेनी। मोस्टली पीपल ट्राई टू बी as balanced in their approach and as entertaining because they want all kind of audiences to come and watch the film. So what you do off the screen, what you do in the newsroom, whatever you do within your drawing rooms is your personal thing. But the moment you do it in a film, then there are too many other people involved and their careers involved. But in this case, Shah Rukh is producing the film himself. He's acting in the film himself. So he can take the onus on him and decide that this is the kind of film I want to do and I want to make. And he's gone ahead and done it. Whatever you may want to think or take out of it is another thing altogether. But उसको जो बनाना था वो उसने बनाया.
नहीं आशु जी, सुहानी आई थिंक वो ये बोल रही थी ना कि जो ये स्टार्स हैं जैसे शाहरुख वगैरह, बिकॉज ऑफ सोशल मीडिया and because of the polarization, this is what I've understood. You know, these actors, when they don't come out, some who come out and speak about something or against something, they are targeted. And then when they don't speak, then people turn around and say, ये तो कुछ बोलते नहीं है, तो नाचते गाते, you know, so they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So I'm very happy to note that Gaurav Sethi has finally been able to join us. As I said before, he had some constraints. So I'd just like to welcome him onto the podcast and also introduce him to Suhani, who he'll be meeting for the first time on this podcast. Hello, Gaurav. How are you?
I'm so sorry, everyone. And I was having this FOMO of not being in the thing. But yeah, I had this, urgent family thing. Somebody's unwell, so that's the reason.
No need to apologize at all. I completely understand. Gaurav, let me introduce you to Suhani Sharma. She is a cinephile. She's a blogger. You'll hear it in the podcast. I've introduced her. Her take on films is absolutely marvelous. You know, I've interacted with her. She's so good. And she's an educationist. And let me tell you the fun thing about her, which you'll hear in the podcast later. But I'll tell you now, this I didn't know. I discovered it today. So she bunked school. She gave work to all the teachers and she went and saw Jawan.
अपनी पोजीशन का फायदा उठाया.
Hello, Gaurav.
Hi, Suhani ji, how are you? And hi, Ashuu bhai. Hi, Sandeep bhai. How are you? I'm sure I've missed out a lot in this podcast.
No, but we're waiting for your views on it, yeah.
So I think I have fallen in love with films all over again, but not for Shah Rukh, but for Vijay Sethupathi.
Oh, again? Acha. Okay.
I think, yeah, see, for me, of course, actually, I think I just heard the last bit about the character and everything. I think even Shah Rukh knew that there was no character he was playing. Even the director must have told him, don't play any character, just play yourself. So I think the question of having a character in the film didn't exist for me. It was just two different looks. And just one is playing the father, one is playing the son. There was no characterization as such, I think. And I mean, it's not a film. I mean, if you ask, Vijay Sethupathi was playing a character. But Shah Rukh was not playing a character at all. I mean, I didn't see him playing any character. He was just playing. And I think that's what the director's brief must have been. Ki sir, aap to bas Shah Rukh ki tarah play karo, larger than life play karo. और आप अपना सब तो तुम्हारे पास मिनट है ये सब करते रहो आप बस यही चलता रहे.
अच्छा, interesting. हाँ.
I mean that's what I thought,
अच्छा गौरव, आप ये बताएं, शेयर करिए हमारे साथ कि आपने फिल्म कब देखी, कहाँ देखी, मल्टीप्लेक्स में देखी, सिंगल स्क्रीन में?
नहीं यार, बीवी बच्चों के साथ ही देखी, तो I had to go to a mall only. I didn't go to a single plex. So of course public पूरी भरती थी and people were enjoying it and everything, and of course it's a picture बंधी हुई है पूरी. It's a packed, in the sense it's a tight film, does not have any loose ends, so to say. So there is it sort of keeps you glued. But but yeah, I think in terms of I mean, of course, apart from the fact that it was a Shah Rukh Khan film and it's much hyped a film and everything, for me, really, I mean, it could easily could have been a film you could have missed, kind of a thing.
Okay, so a one-time watch. Okay.
Yeah, one-time watch, because it became something like this, that okay, come on, you're not watching Jawan. It was like, the whole country is after you to watch. It's like ये तो event ऐसा है कि भाई अभी सबको देखना ही है, because of our loyalty and our love for Shah Rukh, the person. Personally, I love Shah Rukh Khan as a person far beyond than what he's done for films or what he's acted in the films and everything. And of course, more so, which I, messaged the other day. I love him for his interviews.
Hmm.
The man is intelligent, a
Hmm.
very intelligent man for somebody who's come in the film, which for the longest time never had those intelligent brains. Rarely you could come across people with such intelligence. इसके पहले इंटरव्यू किसी को देना नहीं आता था, आई थिंक.
Hmm.
Very true, very true.
सही है. अच्छा गौरव सेठी, हमें ये बताएं कि फिल्म में आपको क्या चीजें पसंद आई और क्या चीजें बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं आई, और उस एस्पेक्ट से इस फिल्म को थोड़ा सा डिस्कस करते
सबसे
हैं
अच्छी
आपके
चीज
साथ.
मुझे जो फिल्म में लगी वो लगी ऑफ कोर्स विजय सेतुपति.
अच्छा.
That is the best thing about the film. I found. The other thing was, of course, the film is tight. I think it's it from one scene to the other, from the second to like that ways it has a pace. So there's no dull moment in the film. Never you feel that अरे अच्छा अभी क्या हो रहा है भाई, क्या करोगे तुम लोग, अभी pace पे चल रही है film. So I think these are two things which I liked predominantly. Of course, the look of the father Shah Rukh had a nice look. The look they gave him, I really liked the looks. All the looks of Shah Rukh were interesting. Even the Ganja wala Shah Rukh and everything. So those looks were nice. And I think that was those are the things I liked, and the performances, all those things were fine. Things I didn't like, it's hard to say because I didn't went into the. I didn't go for the film thinking that I'll have something to like or not like about this film.
Okay.
I just went for the film because okay यार ये तो देखनी बनती है यार,
सही
ये
है.
तो मतलब शाहरुख की पिक्चर है तो, और इतना सब कुछ हो रहा है तो देखनी बनती है. मैं उसी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से गया था. एंड व्हाट आई डिडंट लाइक, इफ आई हैव टू रियली थिंक ऑफ इट, म्यूजिक कुछ खास नहीं था.
सेठी, मैं आपसे एक बात पूछूं. जब आप
हाँ.
सिनेमा में आप हॉल में गए, ठीक है, और
हाँ.
फिल्म शुरू हुई, ठीक है ना,
हम्म.
और
हम्म.
बहुत फास्ट पेस फिल्म है, उसके बारे में हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया है, और
हम्म.
इसकी एडिटिंग भी बहुत रैपिड रैपिड एडिटिंग है, इस वजह से आपको लग रहा है कि बहुत फास्ट है, वो सही सही भी है. लेकिन आप मुझे एक चीज बताएं. सो जब फिल्म शुरू हुई, जो शुरू का पोर्शन है, जो एक्शन है, और वो आपको कैसा लगा?
अच्छा था वो.
है ना?
It was good. Yeah. Actually, the first, the setup or the beginning of the film was really quite international.
Yeah.
It was very international. And after वो जब हो जाता है, फिर वो वापस जब मेट्रो में आ जाते हैं, तो मेट्रो के बाद से पिक्चर फिर थोड़ा अपना देसी माहौल में आ जाती है. फिर वो शुरू का जो सीक्वेंस है ना, ओपनिंग, it's amazingly shot, amazingly presented. So I thought that that really sort of glues you into the film,
Correct,
which was
na?
phenomenally
Yeah.
shot. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
phenomenally shot.
Yeah, we all felt that.
But there is something that I'd like to say where everybody spoke about various kinds of things in performances and actors and whatever. There is one particular person nobody spoke about at all, which means you wouldn't mind it if he was not there in the film, and that is Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah, I don't give a, yeah, I didn't care. It could
Yeah,
have been
same
anyone.
here.
Yeah.
Wasn't worth
Yeah.
talking about. निकाल दो वो पोर्शन, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
हाँ. और एंड में आप सुहानी कह रही, जब सुहानी जी ने इसको पहली बार देखा था तो वो एंड का सारा निकाल दिया, तो उन्होंने थैंकफुली दोबारा देखी फिल्म, तो एंड में तो लगा, और देखिए ऑलरेडी गाना शुरू हो गया था, लोग मेरे सामने आपके खड़े होके डांस कर रहे थे, और शाहरुख खान का वो पोज कर रहे थे हाथों का, और वीडियो ले रहे थे अगेंस्ट द बैकड्रॉप ऑफ दिस सॉन्ग एंड शाहरुख डांसिंग. तो एंड में what were they trying to say? That was a question. I had asked my son and he says, I think that's what they're trying to say, Ma, that Sanjay Dutt was the guy who was actually helping him, right? All along?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So
But Sanjay Dutt coming in, Ashuu ji and Nalini ji answered a very important question for me. Because the first time when I was watching it, if you all remember, there was a scene where they're trying to jump onto the chopper and they're running away from Nayanthara. And at the exact moment, a vehicle comes from the opposite direction on which they jump and then hop onto the chopper, right? So the moment that scene happened, I turned to my friend was along with me in the theater, and I told him कि ये इसी टाइम पे कौन लेके आया जीप इधर सही से जंप करे. So that was actually answered going on later, and not that I was expecting at least movie to have a lot of logic, but that somehow bothered me कि इस टाइम पे कौन जीप लेके आया सामने से कि ये लोग जंप कर दें. And then it was answered.
Answered in the end.
मुन्ना भाई.
हाँ, मुन्ना भाई. हाँ जी, आशु जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहते थे संजय दत्त के बारे में, आप बोलिए.
नहीं तो वहां पे ना ऐसा लगता है, ऑफ कोर्स दैट इज व्हाई इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द फिल्म आल्सो ही इज रिटन थैंक यू संजय दत्त, वी लव यू एंड व्हाटएवर. बट personally, when I went and watched it with my wife, she was there with the film till then, and then from then on, she got disconnected with the film, where where Sanjay Dutt's character comes in the climax. She felt, अब इसको खींच दिया, इस फिल्म को यहाँ पे जाके ज्यादा लंबा खींच लिया. So it did not resonate with her. Probably didn't resonate with a lot of people, but they had. See, all said and done, Sanjay Dutt has a status. He's a big actor, and when you get a big actor at the end of the film, and you realize that he's just doing something sundry, then you wonder, why did you need a Sanjay Dutt for this particular character? That's my point. But then obviously there's a relationship that comes in, and with relationship comes so many other things. You don't ask questions and you just do it. But from the audience point of view, I only felt that, if he's not there also, it didn't matter.
सही है.
These cameos are really getting a little out of hand now. Every second movie. The good thing about a cameo is that you're supposed to be surprised. Like, see, it works once in a while. Like, for example, the Salman cameo in.
Oh, I love that.
When that happened, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, go for that. That is what cameos were meant for. वो एक additional high point होता है film के बीच में. When used well, it might work wonders, like it did in that Pathan sequence. But now I'm seeing this in every movie. Jailer में एक दो cameo हो गए, फिर अभी इसमें ये cameo हो गया. हर film में cameo हो रहा है. Like, if not having a cameo would be a surprise in the next film.
Well said.
And when Sanjay Dutt के साथ ये करते हैं ना, that irritates me, because like Ashu ji also mentioned, right? Sanjay Dutt has a stature. They gave him a very nice moment where he says, "Nayak nahi, khalnayak hu main," and all of that. वो वाला moment है. Agreed. But I mean, use him for something better.
But then when he said that dialogue, I turned to my son and told him, "Aaj 30 साल anniversary around that time of Khalnayak." And this Jawan has released at that time. They might have put the dialogue afterwards, no, Sandeep? Because Khalnayak ki bhi celebration ho rahi thi na? 30 years or something, nahi, Suhani?
Yes. I saw the post. Radio Mirchi or some show, some radio was hosting the Khalnayak's 30 years screening, and they had dressed as Ballu and Ram and Ganga. Yeah, I saw that, Nalini.
Yeah. So the timing was perfect, nahi, Sandeep?
You know what timing was perfect, Nalini ji? There was a theory on Twitter which I had a good chuckle on it, and I wholeheartedly loved it. It's that Jawan released around Janmashtami, and if you see the birth of Azad, who's born in jail,
in jail, sahi hai, bilkul. I didn't think of it.
He grows into a Messiah, Masiha.
Yeah.
It's so similar to, Krishna's birth, and he has taken birth to, save people from their miseries. And someone pointed this out, and I really had a good laugh about it, that कि लोग किस तरीके से क्या inference निकाल लेते हैं.
हाँ. But सुहानी, हो सकता है इन्होंने भी सोचा होगा ना ये?
Might be possible.
I don't think so, because the release date of the film has been pushed multiple times. It was supposed to come out in May, June.
Yeah.
और इतना क्रेडिट मैं एटली को नहीं दूंगा सोचने का. Sorry.
Maybe it's the beauty of serendipity. Maybe not exactly serendipity, but beauty of coincidences. Right. And actually, I'm a little skeptical, but with every discussion, I want to give more credit to Atlee and writers, बट ये वाला क्रेडिट देने से पहले मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा मुझे सोचना पड़ रहा है कि क्या उन्होंने इतना सोचा है।
अच्छा अच्छा, सुने, जब हमने पठान के बारे में बात की थी आशु जी, याद होगा आपको कि हमने बहुत बातें की थी अबाउट द वीएफएक्स, द सीजीआई, तो उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बात करते हैं। आपको कैसे लगे?
सो मैं बताऊं, मुझे लगता है ना, थोड़ा जो यंगर शाहरुख है उसको हो सकता है थोड़ा और यंगर बनने के लिए देव सॉर्ट ऑफ टच्ड हिम अप ऑल थ्रू द फिल्म। वो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा। वो
मुझे
मुझे
भी
थोड़ा मुझे
हम्म
सिंथेटिक लगा।
बहुत
हम्म
ज्यादा सैनिटाइज किया उसको।
इसीलिए ओल्डर वाला शाहरुख शायद इसलिए ज्यादा भी अच्छा लगता है, बिकॉज इट्स क्लोजर टू हिज एज। बट ही लुक्स मोर रियल, मोर नेचुरल। हालांकि उस पे भी मेकअप बहुत है। यू कैन सी
एब्सोल्युटली
अंडर द आईज, ओवर द on the forehead, the lines and all. There's a lot of makeup which you can make out. Apart from characterization, of course, the character of the father is also just brilliant in terms of characterization. But there are lots of other action, matlab special effects that is there in the film which you will not even notice. And they are very brilliant. Like for example, the first, मुझे ऐसा लगता है वो definitely post में किया होगा. It is my assumption, हो सकता है ना भी हो. But वो पहला, जैसे पहला action sequence है जिसमें there is this little fireworks that you can see, you know, right through the whole thing, ground level के ऊपर sparks जैसा कुछ चलता रहता है. It just gives you a visual, brilliance. There is every possibility that that must have been created in post. The jumping of Shahrukh from the in a low angle shot coming jumping from top, that's a special effects shot. There are too many special effects shots, obviously, but there are lots of them you will not even realize or notice. Like for example, मुझे वो थोड़ा कैरिकेचरिश लगा जहां पे शाहरुख जंप करता है उसके फादर के शोल्डर के ऊपर क्लाइमैक्स में। वो जो जंप है वो ऐसा लगा जैसे स्पाइडरमैन जैसे जंप करता है। इट्स लाइक इट्स नॉट लुकिंग रियल, इट्स लुकिंग स्लाइटली सररियल ओवर देयर। बट all these lots of things you as a technician you will notice. As an audience you will enjoy, you will revel in it and you will clap and you do whatever is needed. So they've not, fortunately they've not gone overboard with the effects. जैसे for example वो हम लोग कंटेनर एक्शन की सीक्वेंस की बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें कितना, the point is, the good thing is that there are lots of places where they've used VFX to enhance the actual shoot rather than creating a complete surreal thing. Like for example वो जो आप बोल रही थी, जब वो सानिया मल्होत्रा उसका एयरपोर्ट नीचे गिरता है और उसके गले के ऊपर वो ट्रक चलाते चलाते सामने वाला जो फाइटर है वो उसके गले पे पाँव रखता है और वट एवर, एंड देन यू सी लो एंगल शॉट में किस तरीके से शाहरुख कम्स ऑन हिज बाइक और उसका बेल्ट जो है, that's definitely VFX. It's done. So all these things obviously have been done later on. You know it is a VFX, but you enjoy it. You have fun with it. So, हाँ जी.
I want to ask you, Ashuji, about one, because I know you have to leave. Ashuji, Sandeep and Suhani and Gaurav, this is a question to all of you. That entire sequence where their guns stop working, right? That war sequence, it comes when they're talking in flashback about what happened to Vikram Rathore. So what did you think of that sequence?
नहीं, मुझे बहुत फार फेच्ड लगा वो सीक्वेंस, बिकॉज मुझे ऐसा लगता है जैसे हमारी इंडियन आर्मी जो है ना, वो दे आर अ बंच ऑफ निनकम्पूप्स. दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड एनीथिंग, दे डोंट टेस्ट देयर इक्विपमेंट एंड दे सेंड देयर पीपल टू वॉर और फॉर अ मिशन without even realizing that there is a possibility that the guns may or may not work. It's वो जो sabotage है, वो जो करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, अगेन जैसे मैंने बोला कि एटली sort of works on a little over dramatic thing. मुझे वो पूरा over dramatic लगा. How is it even possible? It's impossible that there is a whole bunch of people who've gone on a mission and everybody's guns are not working at all. It's तो ये these are all things that are far from reality, but the audiences sort of enjoy it and say हाँ चलो अच्छा है, अब उसका बदला ये ले रहा है. जो उसने उसका पे ऑफ किया है एंड में कि विजय सेतुपति गोली मारने की कोशिश कर रहा है और बार बार गोली मार रहा है, that is a payoff which the audiences would have probably enjoyed and clapped because I did, again, like I said, I didn't see it in the single screen.
Hmm.
तो उस किस्म के पे ऑफ्स के लिए स्क्रीन प्ले में इस तरीके के ट्रैप्स डाले जाते हैं, बट पर्सनली स्पीकिंग मुझे हम्बग सीक्वेंस लगा वो पूरा.
Hmm. Hmm.
मेरा भी वही है. I mean, and these are the kind of absolute over the top things that are unbelievable things that sometimes a lot of times Attlee has in his films. So that is why his earlier films have also not quite worked for me. कि ऐसा ही कुछ, like you rightly put, right? It's humbug. It's too much of imagination going on overdrive. That sequence didn't work for me at all. अगर सबका गन नहीं चलता, किसी एक का भी नहीं चलता, let's say, right? That's fine. इमोशन कन्वे हो जाता है. यू डोंट नीड टू वो इलास्टिक को खींचने की तरह, यू डोंट नीड टू मेक अ पॉइंट थ्रू एब्सोल्यूट ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट कि किसी का भी नहीं चला. ऐसे नहीं होता. क्वालिटी टेस्टिंग का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है कि it doesn't work. These are our soldiers who are out on the field, right, across enemy lines. ऐसे नहीं होता है. The same point could have been made by, let's say, one guy's weapon misfiring or not firing, and it is still wrong. There is still issues with the manufacturer with that. But हाँ वही है, pay off है ना आगे जाके कि गन नहीं चलेगी तो. But yeah, I kind of lost it there. वो बिल्कुल नहीं चला मेरे लिए.
Yeah, me too. And it's not just soldiers. This is a special squad, right? A highly trained special squad that goes, right? If I remember
Absolutely.
correctly.
Yeah.
It's like a SWAT team.
Yeah.
And they can't have these kind of guns, right?
Yeah.
Suhani, do you have anything to say about that?
So I was totally, going on with this, with whatever is there coming on the screen. I actually didn't mind the scene, but now you all are saying, I realize, the silliness of writing over here. But I'll just say that in terms of performance, I love the courtroom scene. Shah Rukh's performance over there. Because when he comes in the uniform and the way he sits and conducts himself, and when he says कि हम जवान हैं, हम देश के लिए अपनी जान दे सकते हैं, you can see the sincerity in his eyes. So when I was talking about why I didn't like the voting monologue, because I can see the Shah Rukh Khan there, but here I saw him as Vinod Rathore completely submerged in the character and the gravity and the grief of his character. So I'll just say that in terms of performance, I love the courtroom scene the most in the film.
Gaurav, what did you think about that scene?
Yeah, I think somewhere I agree with Suhani ji that in the whole scheme of things, see, I think the moment Shah Rukh in the metro, he says ना आपको क्या चाहिए जस्ट बताइए, तो बोलते चाहिए तो मैं आलिया. तो उस डायलॉग के बाद से your expectation of from the film कि भाई अच्छा ये माइंडलेस जोन पे जा रही है पिक्चर, यहाँ पे माइंड इस्तेमाल ही नहीं करना अभी. तो वो वहां से वो पिक्चर का ट्रैक ही चेंज हो जाता है पूरा. तो उसके बाद लगता है अच्छा ये तो दिमाग, क्योंकि आप पहली सीक्वेंस देखोगे ना, यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग अच्छा यार ये तो कोई इंटरनेशनल लेवल बन रहा है भाई, कुछ आ रहा है, कड़क आ रहा है माल. पहला सीक्वेंस एक्शन सीक्वेंस देखते हो, फिर मेट्रो में घुसते हो, किडनैप होता है, वो जैसे ही आके बोलता है ना कि ये और क्या चाहिए, आलिया चाहिए, अरे बाप रे, फिर वहां से आपका खेल ही पूरा चेंज हो जाता है कि अच्छा भाई ये कुछ अभी ये गोविंदा वाले जोन में जा रहा है, दिमाग निकाल के पिक्चर को देखो. दिमाग लगाओ मत, कुछ भी हो सकता है कोई भी पिक्चर में.
सही है. अच्छा सुने,
तो
आप लोगों ने तो डेफिनेटली, ऑब्वियसली इट्स अ स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन आई एम आस्किंग अगेन, बट गौरव इज मेकिंग मी लाफ सो मच. सो दैट थिंग अबाउट द bald शाहरुख shooting that burqa clad lady, so you knew na that she's not dead.
मुझे तो पहले से
I
पता
knew.
था.
I knew the very moment
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan can't kill people on screen at this stage.
Yeah. So that was,
And I'm not talking about Azad Rathore. I'm talking about Shah Rukh Khan on screen can't kill a woman at this stage of his career.
नहीं, पर वो कहता है ना सुहानी, डायलॉग है ना उस फिल्म में कि जब मैं विलन बनता हूँ समथिंग, व्हाट इज दैट डायलॉग?
या
व्हाट इज दैट
जब मैं
डायलॉग?
विलन बनता हूँ ना तो मेरे सामने अच्छे अच्छे हीरो नहीं दिखते.
हाँ.
But that is, he can do anything to men, but he can't kill a woman on screen.
Right. Okay.
I don't think any writer can make him do this.
हाँ, वो बाजीगर वाला दौर चला गया.
चला गया. अच्छा. तो ये बहुत आलिया भट्ट बोलता है पूरा, वो आलिया ही नहीं बोलता, ही सेज आलिया भट्ट.
जो भी
But
बोलता
that
है
is a
उससे
clever click, na?
Yeah.
क्योंकि the Vijay Sethupathe's daughter name is Alia, so he, in a way, he means कि
Yeah.
चाहिए तो आलिया and then Bhatt.
हाँ, सही है. This gap. Oh gosh.
So honestly, this was like this film was कि अच्छा भाई अभी शाहरुख की फिल्म में भी दिमाग नहीं लगा रहा क्या? ये ऐसा हो गया.
ये बट गौरव तुम नहीं थे तो हमने पहले, ये तो मेरी ओपिनियन है, अब मेरी पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, संदीप की भी शायद होगी, मुझे नहीं पता, बिकॉज उसने बहुत सारी एटली की फिल्म देखी है, मैंने एटली की एक भी फिल्म नहीं देखी है. लेकिन जब मैं जवान देख रही थी और मैंने बोला भी, ये तमिल फिल्म है, इट्स अ तमिल फिल्म.
ये करेक्ट, हाँ, इट्स अ तमिल फिल्म है.
या with शाहरुख खान playing the lead. So it's
Correct,
not, yeah.
yeah.
So when you look at it from that lens, then that's where you leave it, you know. Not to say,
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
मतलब ये पिक्चर देखने के बाद मेरे को एक चीज अपने बारे में रियलाइज हो गई कि आई हैव नेवर बीन अ फैन ऑफ मसाला फिल्म्स. और मेन स्ट्रीम मसाला, यू नो, इनका समझ ही नहीं आया. तो आई थिंक ओनली बच्चन वाज द ओनली वन हु कुड पुल इट ऑफ इन अ रियलिस्टिक वे. While having the masala, you always could see a real, kind of portrayal. But उसके बाद ये तो मुझे ये रियलाइज हो गया कि अच्छा नहीं यार, ये तो समझ ही नहीं आता ये वर्ल्ड क्या है भाई, ये क्या जिसमें आप लॉजिक निकाल दिया, सब कर दिया, खत्म कर दिया. मतलब वो यार, ना तो ये गोविंदा है, ना ये क्या कहते हैं, in the sense
Rajni sir.
yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's just Shahrukh all over the place basically.
Correct.
It's just
I said it right in the beginning, and I really believe that Jawan is making all these millions and millions, and people are going berserk. It's just working on Shah Rukh's stardom,
oh
literally.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just that.
True, no doubt.
he's a great person.
Yeah.
And right now he is also have become sort of a great binding force in the country, who is really binding people together, whether it is in terms of return of blockbuster cinema or people going and having time of their lives in theaters. He has somehow become sort of a binding force of nature in this country at present time.
So should we speak a little bit more about Jawan? I don't think we've covered all the aspects of it. If you all think so, then let me know. Suhani, Sandeep, we've spoken about the VFX and thing that's Ashuu has spoken. We've spoken a little bit about the music. We've spoken about mainly performances of Deepika and Shah.
I want to speak specifically about Deepika.
Yes, please go ahead.
So one thing which I forgot to mention when I was mentioning all the likes of the movie and what I didn't like, that I absolutely loved Deepika Padukone. She was luminous, and I'll say that right now, she is the goddess of screen presence because she looked luminous and I'll say she looked divine on screen. And I loved her so much as a mother, so much. I now, as a fan, would request her to play more mothers, roles of, more different kinds of mothers on screen because her chemistry with that little kid and, वो जो एक पूरी अदाएं है ना यशोदा की या फिर जो या कृष्णा की दो माताएं थी, राइट, यशोदा एंड देवकी. मुझे पूरी वो उनकी अदाएं थी, बच्चे के साथ खेलना और उसे लेके गोल घुमाना, और उनकी आंखों में जो हमेशा एक नमी है, एक पानी है प्यार के लिए भी, और एंड शी रियलाइज दैट शी हैज लिमिटेड मोमेंट्स विद हर सन. And when you're watching this, I as an audience was constantly being reminded कि ये बहुत ही तगड़ा मैनिपुलेशन है ऑडियंस से रुलाने का, आंसू निकलवाने का. लेकिन this is the beauty of our cinema, and it has been done so well. Each and every moment of Deepika Padukone is Deepika Padukone in the jail is a treat to watch. In fact, there's a scene जब उनकी गोद भराई हो रही है, and she constantly keeps on seeing Vikram Rathore walking towards her, and her chemistry with that ghost of Vikram Rathore is so, like, it's so better than actual chemistry between Narmada and Azad. So she has, I'll say that she comes and she blows new lives on the story, and she has done it so well. I'll say कि वो जो एक पुरानी हमारी फिल्मों की जो हीरोइन थी, like हेमा मालिनी है, मीना कुमारी, इनमें जो एक जो दैवी जो एक क्वालिटी थी, उनकी सुंदरता, उनकी जो एक भव्यता थी, वो दीपिका पादुकोण इस रोल में लेके आई, and she has absolutely nailed it like no one else right now can do it in the industry. So I think she deserves, in each review, she deserves one special mention, probably a paragraph.
Suhani, you've just said it so beautifully. I agree with every single word and nuance that you've described. For me also, I preferred her in the film even to the younger Shah Rukh, for sure. The older Shah Rukh was the star and he made me very excited, and you feel that paisa vasool ho gaya because he looks so great. But when it comes to performance, Deepika was just top of the line in everything that you said, especially as the mother. I mean, she just, it didn't look, those tears didn't look like glycerine tears. That song that they sing and everything about her. And you're so right that she reminded you of these uh, classic actresses of that time, Nutan, and that kind of vibe she had. I agree. What about you, Sandeep? About Deepika?
Nalini ji, of course, Deepika has by now proven that she can pull off most roles, and being the brilliant actress that she is, and especially in Jawan, although it was a small role, it was very well written, and her chemistry with Shah Rukh Khan and all of that, which Suhani so aptly mentioned. But I would like to point out about one other superstar that is in the film, whom Hindi audience might not know much about, but Nayan Tara ka main bahut saalon se murid hu.
Maybe.
Right? And even if there is nothing written strong, or her character is not written strongly in Jawan, looking the way she does on screen with her presence, she might as well read names of her telephone directory. I would not mind.
Yeah.
And we also spoke about Vijay Sethupathi, somebody like him not being given a meaty role.
Right.
I think the same applies to Nayan Tara as well. I'm not comparing the level of their acting, of course, because Vijay Sethupathi is in a very different league, not just in Tamil, but if you look at actors in Indian cinema currently. But Nayan Tara, we need to take into consideration that she has been a top heroine in Tamil, at least. Even in Telugu, she does a lot of films, but in Tamil, she's called the lady superstar. She has been there for 20 years. Okay. Now, in an industry where the shelf life of a leading lady is 5 to 6 years, to be there at the absolute top for 20 years takes a lot of hard work, takes a kind of a charm and a presence that normally people associate with the male actors for whatever reason. But she has maintained that her solo films get the kinds of openings that that normally would go to a star hero. So Atlee again, although he has given her a lot of screen time, but he did not put a lot of effort in writing that character. She could have been used so much better. So I just want to bring in Nayan into the discussion, but because we have not. And the other thing, Nalini, I would like to say, and this from my end, this will be the only thing I've left out. We were discussing about propaganda and quite a few things earlier.
Yes.
So, see, there are two things here. A lot is being written about or looked into on what Shah Rukh said, who is he referring to, and in the current days of binaries, again, left wing, right wing, and all of that comes into picture. I don't want to go into that, but just to put some context, right? The kind of a mass film or a big hero film that has been made in the last 15-20 years in Tamil and Telugu, and actually, in fact, even before that, you can in Tamil probably go all the way back to MGR, and in Telugu all the way back to NTR. Right? When a hero becomes of a certain level, when he becomes the star that he is, the kind of films that they make, there is always these kind of sentences, lines that are referenced, like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, that there would be some self-referential lines where the line between the actor and the character gets very blurry. All of this happens. This is the template of that film. It is not Shah Rukh. You could have put a person, let's say Atlee was a fan of Salman Khan and not Shah Rukh. He would have used something that would relate to uh, or that would align with Salman and where he stands and other things. Okay, so, and the second thing is, in these films, and there are hundreds of them made, and every big hero in Tamil and Telugu has done many films like this. Once you become a hero of a certain stature, it is not enough for you to just beat up one person. It is beyond individual fights. The fight of the hero, vigilante or not, always becomes against a system or a medical corporation or some kind of a corporate, okay, or system in some way, political or corporate or otherwise, right? The opposition is always a larger being in that sense, right? It happened to be Shah Rukh Khan, and because Atlee was making that film, and like you rightly pointed out, it is a Tamil film with Shah Rukh Khan helming it. Yeah. So Atlee had just followed that template. If you look at Marcel, for example, he has spoken about the healthcare system. Correct? And in Sarkar, which is made by Muruga Dos, but again, another director that Atlee is inspired by, Vijay has a similar monologue where he talks about people and their right to vote, and he is actually asking the people to exercise their right to vote judiciously, right? There's nothing wrong in it. I don't see it as a propaganda. I just see that there is an existing template that Atlee has used and other filmmakers have been using for long. Shah Rukh Khan fit into that template.
No, why I made that comment, that one line comment, was because of the palm. That's it. Because I noticed that.
Okay, so I didn't notice that. I didn't see it like that. But irony here, Nalini ji, because I was following a lot of discussion after watching the film. People who are praising it are also getting it wrong. They are also looking into a lot more than what the film is trying to say. It's an Atlee film. It's not Vetrimaran or Anurag Kashyap or somebody making it. Don't read too much into it. The template, he's following it. I would just say leave it at that. Yes, but the thing which I liked about the film happens to be a coincidence, because nobody has spoken those things in Hindi cinema for a long time. So it might come as a breath of fresh air. And kudos to SRK for mouthing it on screen. But I would just leave it at that. I know that in the larger scheme of things, it's just a template that is being followed. प्रेज करो, लेकिन जान के प्रेज करो. क्रिटिसिज्म भी करना है तो जान के क्रिटिसिज्म करो. Either way, we are giving Atlee and the writing too much of credit.
बहुत लोग नॉर्थ इंडिया, बॉम्बे, ये सब शहरों में जो जा रहे हैं ना देखने के लिए, उनको पता ही नहीं है ना Atlee के बारे में. They just now Atlee has become famous, so I guess they haven't seen and they don't know that it's a template, so they're probably coming out with all this. But I must tell you all something very, very interesting. When I came back after that single screen experience, in detail, I won't go because it's already late, but in short, I'll just say that the auto rickshaw driver that brought me back home was in the same cinema hall, right? So from the time that, and he called out to us because We were not getting a rickshaw. He called out and then, so I asked him, I said, you were in the, आप अंदर थे ना, film देख रहे थे? बोलता हाँ. So from there right to my house, he was talking about films. I have to tell you all, he was so clued in. He knew everything. He knew about Atlee. He knew Gadar 3 कब आ रही है. He knew about Allu Arjun. He knew कि ये film बन रही है, अच्छा वो बन रही है, अच्छा मैंने अभी देखा. And then he also said that पठान जो है वो तो ऐसे ही थी, पर ये फिल्म अच्छी है, जवान, you know. And उसको फिल्मों के बारे में इतनी नॉलेज थी, और कौन कब आ रहा है, you know, कौन सा हीरो, कौन सी
You
फिल्म
know,
में आ रहा है.
Nalini ji,
हाँ जी.
Mumbai auto drivers can really, really surprise you. I once
Yeah.
was traveling through by again by an auto, and that guy, I was visiting Mumbai for after very long, and I was in the phase of romanticizing the city. And I
हाँ.
just started a conversation with the auto driver, and he gave me a 10-minute critical take on Sanjay Leela Bhansali as a director.
अरे वाह.
And he had really few important points, good points to make. And I was so impressed. So, like, Mumbai auto drivers can really surprise you in terms of their knowledge on and their take on cinema.
Yeah, and he knew more about whatever's happening. तो मतलब उसको इतनी नॉलेज थी, वो बहुत मजा आया उससे बात करके. Just want to say something to Sandeep. So Sandeep, you can be very jealous because I worked with Nayantara on a film with Rajni sir.
Oh, okay, now you're just rubbing it in.
Yeah, and the ADs on that film were telling me exactly what you've said about her. Everything that you said about Nayantara in terms of her stardom. The first time I ever saw her on the big screen was in the Tamil Gajni, where she was nothing like what she looks now.
Yeah,
She's from Kerala, right, Sandeep?
she's a Malayali.
Right. And then from there to see her growth, to see how she's maintained herself. She demands, first of all, she gets the money, and then the opening of her films are tremendous. They've told me that. Same thing what you said. But she just sits quiet, she doesn't talk to anybody, she reads a book, and I guess she's a little bit like Sridevi in that sense. Then they say, ma'am, shot is ready, and then she transforms into something else, you know.
Yeah, when you said that she keeps quiet and she keeps to herself, for some strange reason, I was also reminded of Sridevi. Also, although like talent-wise, pure acting and versatility-wise, no, I don't see any actress matching her.
Yeah.
But in terms of a certain image and presence on screen, and in terms of being looked at on par with the male superstars, and Nayantara comes close.
Yeah. So should we speak a little bit more about Jawan?
About Priyamani, I like her. Though I haven't watched much of her work, but I liked her dancing in the film in Zinda Banda. Alag se dikh rahi hai. Is she a good dancer?
Yeah, because if you remember, she played, I think, Abhishek Bachchan's sister in Ravan of Nalini Rathnam.
I remember that. She was in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Correct. And you know, Priyamani is a Bangalore girl. And I was working with a British director at that point. He had this DVD of this offbeat film, her first film, for which she got a national award. In the poster, she's got a sickle or something. It's a violin.
Yeah. That's Paruthi Veeran.
Okay.
That is Karti's first film as well. And brilliant film. Dark, brilliant film.
Yeah.
I think she's very, very pretty. And although I think she too has a certain stature as an actor, I think Sandeep will be a better person to comment on that. And her role was little reduced to, just one of the special cameos. So I think she deserved a better graph. And whatever is there in her background story is very stunning to look at. But I couldn't decipher it, that what exactly was happening. I couldn't decipher. It was very interesting. Again, it was very much like, a graphic novel. But I couldn't figure out that story, that what actually happened to her.
Yes, so it looked to me like one of those like what happened in Bhopal, right? One of the gas tragedies, because there was some issue with the air itself. You can see animals falling out and all of that, and she puts a kid in the water and she tells him not to breathe, right? So some kind of a chemical waste release or something like that.
It's very difficult to decipher the
You
visual.
can, because you hear some sounds in the background of the chimney of a factory or something like that, and then you see it's all black with black smoke, and that there's a cow that falls, and she puts her kids into the water and she tells him not to breathe.
And also one of the agenda of this team of Azad and his girls is also about environmental pollution, because they want to, put lock on these industries and factories who are
Yes, that's
polluting
where it
that
comes from.
area.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's taken up a lot of topics now.
Yeah, bit too much.
Yeah, there are many, and then he doesn't know how to tie them together. That's the issue. That's why there are so many, fast-paced editing. So the writing is not coherent, and there are certain problems with editing too.
Yeah.
It's like trying to fit in too many things in
Yeah.
a given time.
Yeah, that's how it looked to me, the editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've come to the end of this podcast. Should we call it a day?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of another very lovely podcast. And now let me go across to my co-panelists and my guest for their goodbyes. Ashuji, any final thoughts?
So it's been a pleasure again, once again, as usual, to speak about any film, this time for Jawan, with such a distinguished panel. And this time Suhani, she came in with such brilliant take कि कभी कभी डर लगता है कि हम फिल्म बनाते हैं तो ऑडियंसेस क्या क्या चीजें उसमें से निकाल सकती है या क्या क्या चीजें कनेक्ट करती है सुहानी ने वो आज मुझे दिखाया बिकॉज सुहानी का की कुछ चीजें लिटरली शॉक्ड मी कि ये एक ऑडियंस में से इस तरीके की चीज भी एक दे कैन टेक अवे फ्रॉम दिस सो इट वाज वेरी गुड इंटरेक्टिंग विद यू सुहानी
Same here. Absolute pleasure.
I will look forward to speaking with you again, Swani. Fortunately, this podcast is here to stay, and we will be able to interact a little more. I will look forward. Thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you so much, Suhani. Thank you so much, Sandeep and Nalini ji. And I hope the listeners enjoy this as much as we've enjoyed speaking about it. And until the next time, please do understand that this is an independent podcast. We need all your love and support. Keep listening to it. Keep showering your love to us. Until the next time, see you all. Thank you.
Good night, Ashuu bhai. Good night.
Good night, Ashuji.
Good night, Ashuu.
Sandeep?
As usual, had really good fun discussing cinema with Nalini ji, Ashuu ji, Gaurav bhai, and the SRK fan Swani, who we had with us for the first time. And goodbye to all the listeners. Yeah, see ya.
Gaurav Sethi?
Okay, thank you so much, Ratnam, again for giving me this opportunity to be here with all of you. Thank you, Sandeep bhai. Thank you, Suhani ji. It was a pleasure to interact with you for the first time.
Thank you, Gaurav. Same here.
And thank you, viewers. And hope to catch you guys again soon.
Suhani, would you like to say something before we wrap up?
Thank you, Nalini ji. Thank you, Ashuu ji, Sandeep, Gaurav, for having me in this podcast. And till now, I have been listening to this podcast as a fan and as a follower, as a supporter. But I'm so glad to be a part of discussion today. And what better film than an SRK film? Thank you for expressing my love so openly on air, Nalini ji, and again learned so many things from you all, and it's always an absolute pleasure to have a conversation, a cinema conversation with you all. Thank you.
Suhani, it was an absolute pleasure to have you. I was really looking forward to having you on the podcast. And I'm so glad that we were finally able to do it today. And not just that, look at the serendipity. We did it with the love of your life.
True.
So Suhani's insights on cinema, they absolutely, I'm all agog. I'm listening from both my ears. All my sensibilities, my faculties are on full alert. Sandeep, you'll agree with me. I say the same thing about you because she's a blogger, and I think she looks at cinema very differently from a lot of people that I have interacted with. Both of you are very similar to that, and one gets to learn and one gets to appreciate cinema a lot when you interact with people like you. And to our lovely listeners, thank you so much for supporting us. Like I always say, this is an independent podcast. We need your love. And if you love cinema, this is the place to be. You can find Dime a Dozen Films podcast on Spotify, on Audible, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, and also on the website Buzzsprout. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon with another hot topic on cinema.